One live from on top of an original Xbox. It's Super Gamecast 2. I am
Woo!
your host, Bronson Fiore, joined by my lovely co-host, Aaron Reynolds.
Woo!
The awesome,
Xbox!
the awesome Mr. Jesse Pewitt.
This is the part where you say, "Hey, I'm Jesse
Oh,
Pewitt."
hello. I'm Jesse Pewitt.
Our mod mommy, Emily Hulslander. And
Hello.
special guests to join us for talking about 20 years of Xbox, nicest man in Canada, a Sean Capri.
I'm a little tardy, but I've got my drinks. I've got my own brand, you guys. I've got my coffee. I'm ready to
Nice.
go. The kids are with their mom right now, and I'm ready to just hang out and talk about every single one of the years of Xbox with you guys.
Yes.
This is amazing.
Yes.
I'm stoked.
Three of us, I feel, have a really comprehensive history with Xbox. Two of us have. One of us has no history, basically, and then one of us has, like, history with early Xbox, it seems.
Who has no history?
I was gonna say this is like a game. Like who's who?
Yeah. Oh, Emily, you're
Emily,
gonna have
Emily
a
got her
blast.
first Xbox last year.
Oh,
So,
you're in for a trip. All right.
I mean,
uh,
It's all good.
It's all good.
It's all good. We'll get you caught up.
yeah, no, this will be like a must play for each
Exactly.
for each. So,
Oh, man.
let's get cracking with that thing launched in 2001. It'll be 21 later this year.
Good God.
We missed the actual anniversary because I was in the hospital and then we had scheduling conflicts. So
Fucking selfish ass Bronson spending time in the hospital when we should be doing shows.
I
what else
know,
is new?
I know. I even did
God.
one show from the hospital.
You did. You did call in while we were doing that. That was great. Good God.
Nothing says fun like being hooked up to oxygen doing a podcast.
God.
Um,
But hey, you're here. Let's talk some Xbox.
yeah. So, did anyone get this thing at launch? Like, do you remember your feelings about it around the launch of it?
I was completely in the dark when Xbox came out because Xbox was when I first started like my journey towards being on time and like being aware of the gaming landscape. So before then, I was very much deep in my N64. I was in the dark times. It would be a year or two before I went over to a friend's house, and they're like, "Check out Halo," and you're like, "Fuck, what?" And so, no, I was in the dark for a while. What about you guys?
I knew of its existence. Like, I knew it existed, but I was just like, who cares? Because PlayStation and Nintendo, like, especially because, like, back then I was, like, such a hardcore Nintendo stan. Like, I had a Nintendo Power subscription. Like, I played everything. Like, I was so excited for the launch of the GameCube. I was like, why would anyone buy a console from Microsoft?
Were you aware of the games that were coming at launch for Xbox, and did you
No.
care a bit about any of them?
Not at all. I didn't know about.
Okay.
I was just like, what? Why? Who cares? PS2, I kind of understood why you would care. This thing, I'm just like, whatever.
Oh, PS2, yeah, I could see that.
What about you, Jesse?
No, I didn't really know a whole lot about it. I knew about Halo because I'd been following it when it was an RTS.
Oh wow,
When Halo was going to be an RTS, I was reading about it in magazines and stuff because it was from the guys that made the Myth RTS series, which was like one of the only RTS series on the Mac. So I was pretty excited for that. And then they were like, "Oh, it's going to be an FPS," and I was like, "Well, I'm done." And then I went to a friend's house later who had Halo and Dead or Alive 3, and that was kind of what sold me on the console.
Dead or Alive 3 was a big selling point for me, actually, funnily enough.
sure, I
Like,
believe that.
That was one that got that, like, like that was a big factor for me. And then Sean, you with the OG Xbox, what
Yeah.
was your history?
Well, this might surprise you guys. I was not there on day one, but like we weren't really a console family back in the day. I mooched everything off of my neighbors. They had everything, so my parents were like, "Why do we spend money on this stuff? Just send the kids over there and they can play everything there."
Yep.
So definitely not like a day one type of family. We got the Dreamcast somewhere between when it launched and shortly after where it got canceled, and that was our actually first introduction to consoles in the house, where my brother and I realized, oh snap, we've been working for a long time and we've been saving up money. Why don't we just buy this instead of waiting for our parents? So it was a very empowering kind of alteration in our journey. And then the Xbox came out and we really just had to like scrape our pennies together because that thing was pricey, man. I was introduced to it at a friend's house, showed me the Halo thing, like very typical, I think, introduction to Xbox. And because we were a PC family, like our parents got us the home computer for homework, that we slowly but surely like added a graphics card to, and even earlier than that, an actual sound card. We had to add that back in the day, and we got really into gaming that way. So to the point earlier about like Microsoft's making a console, who cares? I cared a lot because I was playing a lot of PC games, and back in those days, like everything was a real-time strategy game. So it's really not surprising that this game Halo had a history there too, because like there were a trillion real-time strategy games. Now we think about like Battle Royale is kind of flooding the market. That was RTS back then. So yeah, once I realized that I could get my hands on it with some money, and Halo was a huge amount of fun, like I was really all over it because this was my solution to spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars every couple of years on graphics cards for PC. So it was perfect for me.
Back then, the PC market moved a lot faster than it does now. Like, yes, the old myth of like, oh, you need a graphics card every other year. Like back then, that shit was true.
It's so true.
Yep.
So no, so I remember I didn't really want to buy one though because we had a really good computer in the house. What finally caved on me saving up to get one, or wanting to start saving up to get one, is when they did the Halo 2 trailer and they said, okay, this one isn't coming to PC like the first Halo is. And I was just like, crap, I need to buy this thing.
Yeah.
Because I got really into Halo on the PC. And I actually ended up not having to save for it because of unfortunate circumstances that happened. Because so my mother would get in a car wreck, and get like a messed up shoulder, and she would win a lawsuit off of that, a whole bunch of money. But with some of that money, she wanted to do something nice for my dad, and then something nice for me. And like this was like late 03, early 04, so pretty late into the original Xbox's life. And she's like, "Here's like $300. Go do what you want with it." And like I bought like an original Xbox and 4 games and an extra controller, and I was like super deep in it.
What were the games?
Dead or Alive 3,
Okay.
Halo 1, Project Gotham Racing 2,
Nice.
and Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. Yep. That's a good 4.
Yep. Good list.
Good pick.
Yeah, so no, I got some.
Shout out to your mom.
Yeah,
No doubt.
no, my mom super cool, super cool with that. So yeah, so we so all right, that's everyone's history. So Xbox Live launches in 02. I definitely was not there for that. I don't think anyone here was.
No.
I was there for lunch, man, and we had to get a router for the house, man. Like we had to understand. You have to really. I'm an old man, you guys. You have to really understand like what we had to do because we didn't have like parents who knew anything about this stuff, or at least I didn't. Like you have to learn how to network your damn house, dude. Like we were coming off a dial-up internet into high-speed stuff, and you couldn't just like plug it all in. Like you really needed to figure it all out. So that was like me getting into, which I was in PC land anyways. I learned how to like, even just put a graphics card in and have that running, installing drivers. I had been learning about stuff for so long, and Xbox Live is like, to me, is so special because it was a catalyst for that. And things that I do even now harken back to getting things set up for Xbox Live and my original gamer tag, which I will absolutely not share here today.
I still have my original gamer tag.
That's sweet, man. That's awesome.
That's incredible.
Right?
I did not screw up when I made that thing, which is even weirder because it was a suggestion from Microsoft.
I was gonna say it was a suggestion, even like you weren't even, that wasn't intentional. It was just, here you go, and you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So I loved Xbox Live and thought it was a huge jump over actually what I was doing on PC. Because if you remember PC at the time, Steam like existed, but it kind of sucked.
Hardly. Oh, it was not good.
Like,
Yeah.
everyone got super pissed off when the Half-Life 2 was locked only to Steam. People were big mad about that. And what ends up happening for me is, like, my birthday was like a month before Halo 2 came out. which my birthday is October 14th. Game was launching November 9th. And I got some birthday money and I spent it on an Xbox Live kit. The headset and the 3 months and, everything.
Yeah, man.
Those damn microphones that, for me at least, seem to break every 3 months. Seriously, that little clip just snap every time.
Great.
Eventually. So, but what ends up happening is I get Xbox Live and I'm playing like Dead or Alive Ultimate. I'm playing Halo 2 and just the fact that like cross game friend invites, be able to message friends across most games, like all this stuff that we really take for granted now was like kind of mind blowing at the time.
The party sort of chat kind of nature of it, like all those, like those are very like even advanced things now. You have to remember they did Quake just did a whole bunch of like re-releases. They redid the first one, and then you could play I think Quake 2 and if you go back to some of those other games, you remember instantly. This was on the PC side, like what matchmaking was like, or didn't even exist in some cases. Like jumping into a game was terrible. Like you load up a list of lobbies, and you're like, what server am I gonna be on? And like the filters you had to do. It was basically a spreadsheet that you were gonna jump into to play your games, and like. That's what we were coming from in PC land, like GameSpy and stuff like that. Oh God, not a good experience, not user friendly.
I remember like everyone I knew personally like had Xfire installed because at least it managed like some of that nonsense. So like just having this set friends list across all games was such a big deal. And then like I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but on the 360 when 360 added party chat, oh my God. Biggest goddamn deal in the world.
Only to take it away launching Xbox One. But again, maybe jumping ahead. It was so advanced, so like we gotta take it away.
It's too good.
God.
It's too good. You don't deserve it yet.
Man.
So yeah, like 2002 hits, Xbox Live hits, launches with Mech Assault, which I actually never played the first Mech Assault, but I love the second one. And it seems like that and Rainbow Six are the first Xbox Live games. What was everyone's like first Xbox Live game?
Oof. I was never able to join for the original Xbox Live because I was a big dummy as a kid. Like I'd plug in internet. Like what? Who? I never touched any of that until I got my 360. So
for you, wasn't it like Gears? I believe.
It was Gears, yeah. It was
on 360,
which is the closest I ever got to what trying to get online in the old times was like, because that was you had to pick from like a list of games trying to fill in, but like that was not even close to what it was. So
I love looking just for the logo on the box, like on the cartridge, like on the packaging. It's like Xbox Live enabled. Like it was so early 2000s, like the design, everything very extreme and stuff.
Just very like that orange streak,
that black background, the orange, totally the swoosh.
Yeah, like that. That's and you were always like excited when you saw that though. Like it worked. It hella worked, real good.
It was like Rumble Pack enabled on 64. Like you were looking for this little extra feature. You play online with your friends. Yeah.
So I remember what was my first? I want to say it was Dead or Alive Ultimate.
Oh wow!
Like that was, which
how was that?
Yeah,
it was real interesting getting introduced to how good people were at fighting games.
Yeah, it was.
Sure.
Like just I got them hands real good at first. Just got a little taste of the real world.
Yeah, because you're good in your friend group, right? And then you're like, oh well, I'll try this online thing. That's cool. I can play with this guy across the country, and you're like, oh my God, I'm terrible.
Right. That actually led to me getting like stupid good at Dead or Alive though, because I ended up playing just constantly. Like I got to double S ranking in Ultimate and 4. Like just played it nonstop. What about you, Sean? You were there at the start. So, what was your first Xbox Live game?
Yeah, it had to be. The first one wasn't the most significant one for me. Actually, I probably jumped into Halo at some point right at the start. But like the most significant like Xbox Live game for me was Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2 were just like that's where I spent most of my time actually. Just over and over and over again. I was just scrubbing through the list of games too. I'm like, I eventually got onto NHL, but I don't think that was on to 360. But Star Wars Battlefront, like I was one of the people who was really excited to see it coming back because I had so much history in the original Xbox games for sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said Battlefront 2 and clarified because I'm like, oh, I'm sorry because I had Battlefront 1 on the original Xbox as well and it was so janky. Like,
Whatever,
We
man. I
didn't care,
love
man.
that game.
Absolutely, like we were playing GoldenEye a couple of years before. Like it
Yeah,
didn't
that's
matter,
true.
man.
That
Right?
is true.
Exactly.
But also a couple years
Yeah,
before
it
I
was
was
a
also
different
playing.
world.
Sorry. Oh, but also a couple years before I was also playing Unreal Tournament. So,
Same here.
Sure.
it's like I remember that game having some serious internet connection issues, but like once everything got sorted, it was really good. It was.
Yeah,
really,
it is. It's hard to describe like the lens that we looked at games through back then. At least for me, like I just like mostly happy just to play. And especially
Sure.
coming in like Xbox Live was you had to have broadband internet. So I was coming off of like a 28.8 connection on my PC trying to play like Quake 3 or whatever it was. There's not a good experience. So it was instantly better from that perspective. And if you had a bad experience, you just jump off and play couch co-op or whatever. Like these are back in the years
Right.
for me where I actually had people next to me.
but-
So there's
Yeah.
that too.
Before the plague happened, and
Exactly.
So, real quick, a bunch of comments in the chat that I have not caught. Braves B says Castle Crashers for me, I think.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've never ever played an Xbox game before. I haven't even touched a controller before.
Oh, we gotta change that, Jose.
Like any Xbox, yeah. What was your first Xbox Live game? It doesn't have to be an original Xbox. I actually remember you want to that never touched an Xbox game before is funny to me because I was watching that Xbox documentary they put out with my roommate, the Power On,
Yep.
and they get to the part where they show the original Xbox, and she's like, "That's an original Xbox." I'm like, "Yeah," like confused, and she's like, "Oh, I've never seen one before until now."
Wow.
Oh, and
Wow.
I'm just like, wow, okay.
All
Oh,
right.
lordy. So yeah, it wasn't like once again, like Sean said, it was a really weird time. You have this, like, we were just happy to play online and with our friends and have everything working and being like good games, like, and I remember.
I will say I wasn't really friends with any. Like I didn't use friends list like at all. Back in the day, like I just like went on to like play other people. Like, and that's why Battlefront really stood out to me because I didn't need to like link up with somebody else and go, we're gonna play at this time. I'm just gonna fire up a game and play against a bunch of strangers.
I didn't do that until Halo 2, and I made a bunch of friends with strangers on the internet in Halo 2. Like, you would play someone, and because everyone was on voice chat on that game, sometimes for the wrong reasons, you would, like, meet people who were really cool or had a really cool screen name, and you chat with them, and, like, I went to Halo Fest in 2011 with someone I did not meet in person.
That's
in,
awesome.
Like, yeah, like, I was like, hey, do you want to share a room at Halo Fest? Yes. Okay, cool. I'll see you in Seattle. Oh, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. Like it had this like cross country bonding effect.
Yeah.
Aaron, can I have you take over the show for one quick minute? Diuretics have to use the restroom. Sorry. Everybody.
Oh God. All right, go for it, man.
Yeah.
God, where were we at? Xbox Live.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse, did you ever have much experience with Xbox Live? I forgot if we asked that already.
Yeah, it was probably with Dead or Alive.
Dead or Alive.
Yeah, so my dad actually was the reason we got Xbox Live, and then he realized you had to get broadband for it. So the next day we had cable internet, and then we
Wow.
so that was a big upgrade.
It's
All
pretty
right.
good.
What was the
So,
connection like then to play
oh,
fighting games?
Looking back at it, like at the time, I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
And looking back at it now, though, like Jesus, I don't even know how I could have done or anybody could have done any of the things that you can do like in rollback netcode
Right.
now for fighting games. It's crazy.
Uh,
But it was
okay.
it was pretty bad.
Okay. All right. But if you didn't care at the time, then whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like Sean had said, at the time I was just happy to be playing games online and with other
totally.
people. Like none of my friends had an Xbox, so I didn't use the friends list function either.
That's
So it
man, I
was,
didn't even put that together. I'm like, why didn't I do that? Because yeah, none of my friends had an Xbox. That's exactly it in
Right.
real life. Yeah.
nobody had one, so I would just go online and play randos, and I was just happy to be playing games online with other people, and like for fighting games especially, just being able to get that gauge of skill of like where
Yep.
you're at was huge, even if they were more often than not reality checks.
Here's a question I have for everyone. Of this generation of Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube, at what point did you get your Xbox? Was it first, second, or third?
Only. I never had the other
Only.
ones. This is my only one. I looked at that
Oh.
GameCube and I did the very stereotypical thing. Like this was high school for me, so it did the very like, oh, that is for kids. Like it's a lunchbox, a controller. Like I remember a friend of mine had one. He was playing Madden on it, and it literally didn't make any sense in my brain why he wouldn't have an Xbox to play Madden on if he was playing Madden on his GameCube. But for him, he was all about it, man. And I don't mean to spread hate about GameCube. It's just where I was
No.
at in my life at the time. Come to learn that a lot of those games came to Wii, which is where I returned back to Nintendo. But that's another show. But yeah, Xbox was it for me. And like things are so different for me now too. Like even just looking at my background, like I just indulge in all the things, and it's ridiculous. That is such a far cry for where it was when I was growing up. Like you had the one thing and you were grateful for it. You had the Duke until the Duke broke, and then maybe you got the S controller. Like the fact of like having a console that sits around and gathers dust was like that would have been a sin in our house. So it was like you had the one thing, and that was it for me for sure.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And the name has been uttered, so I have to profess my allegiance to the Duke controller. I think that thing fit my hands at the time when I was like
Did it
12.
really?
I don't care what people say about the Duke. I love it. I want to get a new Duke to make sure that my allegiance is true.
I just don't know about that
I'm
thing.
very afraid if I pay whatever $50-$60 or whatever and get in my hands, I go, oh no, oh I don't want to do this. So I think the newer ones have like LBRB buttons that also function as the black and white buttons.
That'd be helpful. Yeah.
And if that's the case, then it's not as huge a deal. But yeah, no, I stuck with the Duke, and then I actually, I know we're getting a little off topic, but I was a big believer in like weird Mad Catz offshoots for my Xbox controllers. I had one that Bronson teases me about whenever I bring it up, but it was a Xbox controller that had like fans in the handles.
Oh yeah.
And so it would cool your hands
my
while you
God.
played. And
That's
it was awesome. It was so cool. I've never had a controller as literally and figuratively as cool as that controller.
Nice. I think I would like that a lot. Like I don't like a slippery controller like at all. Like usually I'm talking about like greasy fingers, greasy hands, from, like snacks and stuff.
Right,
But I mean,
right.
like, yeah, you get there's times games get a little intense. You're like, oh snap, I'm losing my grip a little bit here.
Or maybe you're in Nevada in June and it's
True enough.
hot, and I just the fan does not do enough. But according to some people, I guess you just don't get sweaty hands, and thus fans should never be in controllers. And you know what? I say nay.
Get them back in there, man.
give me my weird controllers again, please.
It's what we lost when we went to wireless controllers. They're all battery powered. You can't extend the energy on the fans. Yeah, just get
That's
those things
probably
plugged
it.
in.
Yep.
Constant power source.
Damn.
That's amazing. I want to look that up, dude.
It's I don't know what it is. Like, yeah, it was incredible though. That and like just crazy light up controllers that were all see through, but it was just like neon blue shining out of my controller. Used to do
Okay, I'm
real
sorry, what did I
cool,
miss?
weird stuff. Bronson, I was in the middle of a conversation. Then you just came in. You just started talking. I was, you just derailed the whole thing.
Sorry.
And now, remember when I told you about the controller with the fans in them?
Yeah, those were horrible.
They're fucking amazing. They're so good.
They hurt so much.
They hurt.
Yeah, like they have the weird grip on them. Just
They sort of had they definitely had a different grip.
like I don't know. I don't sweat that much when I game, so it's like
Right.
I don't feel like I need it that badly.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I especially would have appreciated it during Halo 3, that June before I left. That was just a sweltering summer.
Yeah, see, my bedroom was in a basement, so I didn't have that issue. I didn't have that issue till I moved into that apartment that you went to
Yep.
That was
Where
just,
all the heat accumulated at the top.
yes, that was just miserable.
And you're like, all right, now let's play Sing Star and jump back and forth and sing. And oh no.
No,
Um,
thanks.
We were talking about, we were still talking about Xbox Live.
Mm-hmm.
I was just finishing that up for you to move on to the next section.
Okay, yeah. So I guess that would go to what were your favorite games on the original Xbox? You know.
Well, I have a list going by the year.
Okay.
So if we want to talk about original Xbox, if we want to go through original Xbox, we go console by console, year by year.
Okay. Let's go.
We can do that.
We'll do original Xbox year by year. Sure.
All right, 2001 original Xbox.
Halo.
Oh, we're actually doing this. Oh snap!
Halo.
I think to make this more bearable, we're gonna do this in parts. So let's
Sure.
go through the original Xbox run first.
2001 has to be Halo, right? That's like universal, I believe.
Everyone's going to pick Halo, including me, which is why I'm going to break off and say, hey, you know what? Me and Bill Gates play Fusion Frenzy.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I actually unironically had a lot of fun with that game because,
Big
as
time.
it turns out, when you just get a bunch of friends together to do dumb shit, like you can make a lot of games fun. And like,
Exactly.
yeah,
And
Fusion
it's-
Frenzy. I don't know. There's something fun about it. The announcer was ridiculous, and I don't know. I grew attached to it, whether it was good or not.
And it's Bill Gates' favorite Xbox game.
Bill Gates' favorite Xbox game, man.
So there you go. Bill,
But he's not yelling at people. You're ruining my company. He's playing Fusion Frenzy. What about you guys? All Halo?
Project Gotham Racing, man. That was
There you
that was my
go.
day one purchase.
That
was getting the kudos points and Project Gotham Racing. That was ridiculous.
if we're discounting Halo, it's got to be DOA 3. Like
Okay.
kicked a lot of people out of Windows in that game, and it was sick.
Nice. All
Max
right.
Payne is up there too, you guys. And my God.
I thought
Like,
Max Payne
wait,
was 02.
I'm looking at this list saying December 12th. You were close. December 12th, 2001.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I
Oh,
don't
holy
know-
crap. I changed my answer. My answer is SSX Tricky.
Nice. Dude, like, look at
Oh,
this this first year.
Yeah, there's a lot of
This
good
year,
games that first
they
year.
had 2 months. They had 2 months, and they came out some stuff, man.
They
I was
they snuck
NHL
in
2002.
they
Definitely
snuck
there.
in 2 Tony Hawk games also.
Yeah.
And Dave Mira.
Yeah.
Right?
We had Dave Mira BMX. Oh my gosh, man! Like that's a great lineup. Launch when we talk launch window. Sometimes it's funny because I feel like that term evolved over time. When we're like, let's not be so harsh on the first day. Let's look at launch window, and that made things feel a lot better.
I mean,
but if you look at the launch window here, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, the launch window here, DOA 3, Halo, Project Gotham, Oddworld, Amped,
Amped.
like there's some good stuff in here. I mean, to be fair, if we want to talk launch window, I actually think the GameCube might have one of the strongest one of those of all time. I know because you have to think about Melee, Luigi's Mansion, Rogue Squadron, Wave Race, and Pikmin. Like not. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Wave Race.
Well, I'm just doing sound effects every once in a while. Please don't be distracted by my random. This is how my brain works.
It's okay.
I love it.
Welcome.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, Bloodwake. How can we forget Bloodwake?
Jesus.
Vehicular, dude. I don't even know what that game is. That it's described as vehicle combat, which classic late '90s, early 2000s. Everything was a twisted
Exactly.
metal,
Yep.
Vigilante 8. Like, oh yeah, you needed that in your lineup.
Of course you did.
Interstate 76. Shout out to anybody who knows what that is.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, I got a bunch of these games. Star Wars Starfighter, I messed around with. Amped, I messed around with. Simpsons Road Rage, a fantastic,
Yo,
crazy
no
taxi game.
kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Silent Hill 2. I know the Xbox version is a little janky, but that is still a good ass game.
They should have more good games than bad games in this like 2001 lineup. Like they're so good.
It is a surprising level of quality. It really is. All right, so do we want to go to 02 now?
Let's go to 02.
Every year, yes, I love
Let's
it.
go. This is a long list.
Not a lot of stuff I was too enthused about in 02.
Okay.
Like,
Tony Hawk Pro
pretty
Skater
impressive.
3 to
like-
me disappointed. I wasn't as much into Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 as I was 1 and 2, unfortunately.
Oh, sure.
NFL Blitz, let's go. NFL Blitz
Yeah.
2002.
Yep.
That's a good game.
Man.
Morrowind.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I
want-
sunk a ton of time into Morrowind.
You want to talk about important things Xbox did?
Yes.
Was bring Western RPGs to console.
No doubt.
Like that was a huge. Hey, I found Outlaw Golf for Aaron.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
What a fucking garbage game.
Exactly.
I that's just stuck in my brain forever. I'm gonna be on my deathbed. I'm gonna be like, God, Outlaw Golf was shit.
Blake's the Time Sweeper.
There you go. Yeah. They need to make a new Blinks
was
the
for
Time
Ryan
Sweeper and
Sherford.
make it better.
They did an HD port, I believe.
I've been playing it on the Xbox Cloud service because the gameplay is not overly complicated. I can take a little bit of lag here and there. Speaking of games that speak to my specific tastes, Jet Set Radio Future.
Yes.
Oh baby, let's
Yes.
go.
Oh, so good.
This was the time when you had EA Sports games and like 2K games as well. Like you had NHL 2K3, 2K2, and NFL 2K. And man, like those 2K games were excellent. Like they were really, if you ever gave them a chance, you ever stepped away from EA for a second, like those games were really good.
Dude.
Yep.
I went to NFL 2K and I never came back.
Yeah.
So I
Back
would
when
actually,
they could live in peace and harmony.
and then the EA Money Nation attacked.
Yeah.
2002 kind of would have been a rough year for me, so I'll actually have to say NFL 2K3.
Let's see. Gauntlet Dark Legacy was the first time I ever played a Gauntlet game, and I had a good time with that. Spider-Man. I have a small story about the Spider-Man Xbox version. I was years ahead of my time. I just did it for myself. I popped in a blank VHS and I hit record, and I recorded myself play through the entirety of Spider-Man on that Xbox.
Wow.
Had my own little Let's Play on a VHS tape that got lost somewhere.
I always wanted to do that, even back in like the NES days. I figured like, why can't I just plug this into a VCR? And
Yeah.
we just never got around to it, man.
Yeah, I think everyone did, right? Like that's how it became such an obvious thing to add it, right?
Right. Yep. I enjoyed that game for what it was, and then Spider-Man 2 came out like years later and said, "What are we doing?" So let's see. Oh God! All right, Burnout.
Burnout 1 was a really neat thing at the time.
God damn, it was good.
Time Splitters 2, Pac-Man World
Oh.
2.
Yes. Wow.
In these-
Splashdown. I
in
played a
these
lot
years-
of Splashdown.
It was a lot of annual stuff for me back in these days. Like I'd get the new FIFA game, get the new NHL game. Eventually, Call of Duty comes in here. I don't remember playing Unreal Championship on Xbox. This might have been one of those. I've already got it on PC, so why would I need it over here? And keyboard, mouse, superiority, all that kind of crap.
I played a lot of its sequel because my friend Quinn was super into it, but not the first one. Metal Gear Solid 2 made its way to the original Xbox with Substance.
Nice.
Wow.
Just a sign of the times. Aggressive inline.
Yeah.
I love
Fucking
that
extreme
game.
it is to be on these.
I love that game, like unironically, like because I didn't skateboard when I was younger. I inline skated, so when that game came out, I was genuinely really excited.
Yeah. Oh my God. Let's see. What else
Oh
we got
God,
here?
Bionicle. You want a
Yeah,
terrible
Bionicle.
tie-in
Was
game,
that
get
this time?
Bionicle.
Oh my
Jeez,
God.
2003.
I was a nerd for Bionicle around that time.
A couple comments in the chat. Loving this talk so far. Thank you, Trucker Sloth. So many good games and even better memories. Well, if you like
No
this,
doubt.
we talk a lot of game history on this channel. So like, feel free to
It's
give
kind
us
of a big
follow if
thing
you
for
like
us.
it. And I played that on Dreamcast, but what a wonderful couch co-op experience. I had Time Splitters 2 and didn't like it, but I had it on GameCube, and maybe that's good because the controller was not good for shooters. I mean, to be fair, the Xbox controller wasn't good in general, so
It was the greatest.
the Duke was miserable.
Dead to Rights. Remember Dead to Rights?
Dude, I was all about bullet time, man. Max Payne, Dead to Rights, that was the other one. He had his dog. Oh, what a great game that was.
Yeah.
That was probably one of my most played games on Xbox. And it's just so
really?
funny too, because like I wasn't really in a community at all. I didn't know what everybody else was playing. Like to me, that was like the no-brainer. Like if you have Xbox, you have Dead to Rights. And like it's not the case at all. Like not even close.
Like I didn't have the context either because like I had a Nintendo Power subscription and didn't have an
Right.
Xbox till late 03. So like I knew what the Nintendo propaganda machine wanted, and granted, they would direct you to really good games a lot of the time, but like it's all I knew other than this looks cool at Blockbuster.
Yep.
So all right, let's move to 03 here. This is where, in my opinion, the Xbox really starts to pop off a little bit. You got your Panzer Dragoons, you got your Knights of the Republic, your Burnout
Caliber
2s.
2.
Yeah. So what's everyone's 03 favorite? I guess.
I didn't make it all the way through the O2. So
Yeah,
just
I'm
taking a look
scrolling
here.
through.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
honestly not seeing a whole. Oh, Soul Calibur 2 came out in 03.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Futurama.
Caliber
That was.
2.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jesse.
SSX 3.
Yeah. You had that Buffy
Is this the
game.
first time we get Tiger Woods on Xbox? Is 2000 Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004? That might have been the first time. That would have been an annual thing for me from then on. Tiger Woods that was hysteria with me and my friends. That was
Oh yeah.
and the character creator. I don't know if it was in 2004, but eventually got to be one of the best character creators you could ever have.
Oh,
like you could just
yes.
make your character and your face look like anything you wanted. And even to this day, it's so disappointing. Character creators are terrible right now
Oh, dude,
compared to
no,
what they were
like-
back then. At least in my
Right.
brain. I might
Yeah,
fire
no,
up the
yeah.
game right now, but I'm pretty sure that character creator was excellent.
The Madden one back in the day used to be so good. Now it's so garbage.
Yeah, what the heck, man? I don't know. Maybe people weren't using it. I'm not sure why they would, or maybe it's just
It's-
complicated to have.
It's all the money is
variants.
an Ultimate Team
a
now,
lot.
man.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
It's
Oh,
unfortunate.
this was the year Beyond Good and Evil came out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's probably M's favorite.
Yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil. Concerning the cosplay.
I'm finally getting out of 2002. I just want to give a quick shout out to 2002 release Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. All right,
Yo.
let's see here.
Now, in regards to Good and Evil, I wasn't actually introduced to that game until the HD remake came out. in
What?
2012.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, that was actually when I started cosplaying as Jade. Was back.
Oh,
then.
nice.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Did Marvel vs.
a little
Capcom 2 come out
yeah.
in 03 or did it come out on Xbox in
It
03?
came out on Xbox in 03, and it was okay.
Yeah, I had it
Oh,
on
all right.
Dreamcast.
Yeah, well, the Dreamcast version is still the best version unless you can get
Yeah,
an
well, and
arcade
I wouldn't have
code.
never know. I just had a lot of fun with it. That
Oh
and
yeah, it's
Dance
an
Dance
amazing
Revolution.
game. Like it's just it. As somebody who was current in fighting games, people look for the Dreamcast version.
Nice. That's
Right.
good to know.
One
One of the best games of all time, Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Oh, yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
that's holiday
Yeah.
in there. Yeah, man.
Crimson
really good
Skies. You want to talk about
Mm.
good?
Ooh, yes,
Yeah.
please, man. I thought that would have been closer to launch. Like thinking back,
No,
without
that was-
this
that was-
definitive list.
That was like a big Xbox Live game. I remember that.
So good. Look at the. You're right. 2003, they start to pop up. Need for Speed Underground was massive. Project Gotham 2 was right same day. What the hell were they thinking?
they got both Grand Theft Autos finally of the time in that window.
We got the best NBA Street.
But the real winner from Microsoft first party is Voodoo Vince.
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
I thought we'd scrolled past that, man. We don't need to- Deus Ex, though, Invisible War, a thinking man's first-person shooter that mostly, I think, underappreciated the Deus Ex franchise, but people who liked it, they really loved it. And that one, I didn't get into Deus Ex until after this one, but shout out to that one back in 2003.
I ended up giving it to it on the first release on the PS3, I believe.
Yeah. What a year. Look at that. Couple
yeah.
releases for The Sims.
Metal Arms,
Counter Strike.
Rainbow Six 3. Yeah, Counter Strike, console Counter Strike.
Wow. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if this is part of the Orange Box or the Orange Box was on 360.
It was 360 for
360.
sure.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a really cool. That's a relic of the time, like selling
No
a
kidding.
boxed Counter Strike that has like a bot campaign with Xbox Live.
That's awesome.
That's Metal Arms, highly underrated though. If you guys ever get a chance to check it out, really good game.
I've heard some things about that. Yeah.
All right, so we're into '04 at this point. NFL Street.
Oh yeah, NFL Street.
NFL Street is the first video game I associate with an all-nighter at a friend's house. Like, we literally stayed up till the sun came up playing NFL Street. Randy Moss was broken. Super broken.
I mean, as he always is.
Let's see. Sonic Heroes.
Sonic Heroes is good.
It has a really good theme song. I'll give it that.
It's not great, but it's good.
You got that Legacy of Kain was pretty good.
Yes. Oh, I played it on PC.
Indeed. Steel Battalion. Who wants $200 controller? Let's go.
Yeah.
Man, I wanted that so bad as a kid.
Dude, I actually got to play it
Like-
at a con that came around here back when I was still like an actual journalist, and like it was really cool. It was like it's a neat thing. It's impossible to figure out in just like one sitting though.
It is funny looking back at these lists, and there's dozens of games that I would have liked to play or maybe got to later on. But like, I basically got 1 to 2 a year. Like again, this is just a different time for me.
So,
And those games for me were probably like Tiger Woods 2005 and Star Wars Battlefront, and or NHL 2005 somewhere in there too. Like
So-
that's where I was at.
in my case, my mom and I would rent a movie or a game every week, and then she did the
Oh,
math.
nice.
Yeah,
And
lots of rentals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my
Yep.
case, she actually found out the setting me up with the unlimited service was actually just cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had, as long as Blockbuster had it in stock, I kind of had unlimited access as long as I was willing to bike down to the Blockbuster. So
It took time for Blockbuster to really adopt Xbox as well. Like you'd go there and you see the usual Nintendo stuff, and then PlayStation. Then like they kind of have like this tiny little Xbox section. At least it did in my neighborhood.
in '04 actually is when it finally started to become like a big section.
Right, you had to wait. Yeah.
Like it's
It was
Ninja-
painful. Even when DVD became a thing, they're like, I don't know if we're gonna rent out these DVDs. Or you're gonna pay more for like. You have to remember when these things doing these changes came over, it hit Blockbusters, and especially maybe Blockbuster less, but like mom and pop rental shops, like they really had to decide whether or not they're gonna make that change over, and it would take time.
versus now, like if you have like GameFly, like GameFly had PS5 and Series X games day one.
Day one. Mm-hmm.
You know, like I remember like renting those on my I remember renting those like day one for my PS5, like some of those games.
I guess you can kind of see that trend with Blockbuster though, because they were slow to adopt anything that was new, right? DVDs,
Right.
Yeah.
Xbox, streaming, like any of those things they just waited on.
And this is why there's one left in Oregon. So
Right.
there you go.
Red Dead Revolver.
Yeah,
That was an interesting game for the time.
I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
that was the year Manhunt came out.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Forgot about that.
Sort of a big
yeah.
game.
That was a
Yeah.
that was a generally pretty good game. Ninja Gaiden, one of the best on the console. Like you could make an argument for like the best on the console in some cases. Psyops, underrated gym.
Psyops is really good.
Yeah. Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Uh,
Catwoman.
Okay, let's slow our roll.
Oh, I'm sorry. ESPN NFL 2K5.
Oh, you mean the best football game ever made?
That's
Yeah.
what I hear.
Yeah, that checks out.
Bungie did a game this year. Bungie had a game that came out.
Oh, they did. What was it called?
2004.
weird.
It was called Halo 2.
Oh, who's ever heard of that?
Not ringing a bell.
I
Let me ask
certain-
you guys a question about Halo 2. All jokes aside, I seem to remember as I was starting to get into like online communities and reading IGN quite a bit more these times. I seem to remember people being not happy with Halo 2, like at all, because of the storyline being split between this elite guy, this Arbiter, and Master Chief. I remember that being a big deal, and as time has gone on, now this is a long time ago, almost 20 years ago. People think very fondly, of course, of Halo 2. The multiplayer was very, very notable, and that's memorable. But I don't know. I seem to remember people being up in arms about the campaign of Halo 2. And the
I
ending too.
Specifically the ending.
I remember
Yeah.
the only thing people were mad about in my case, for people, was the ending. Otherwise, everyone I knew loved that game. Granted, I was very deep in the Halo community at the time. I was on the Red versus Blue forums.
Oh, snap.
I was like playing in tournaments. Like I was deep in the Halo franchise at that point. Like probably almost deeper than I'd ever been. I'm a huge Halo fan, but that was like peak like no life neat Halo status.
If I had to infer what else people could be mad about campaign wise, it would be that we like played for the elite probably longer than we wanted to.
That's what I'm
rather than
saying.
being
Yeah.
the chief.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the split of the like who you're gonna be playing as, and again, like I don't remember my timelines exactly, but Metal Gear Solid 2, where you're playing as other dude Raiden,
Yes,
Raiden,
Raiden.
what's-
Raiden, yeah.
Right.
like it seemed to kind of happen, at least with the, like big games, where like you're not gonna play as the main dude, like that didn't really go over so well, and probably wouldn't have gone over well now, especially because things could explode much quicker and louder. Back then, like even though there were forums, it didn't hit the mainstream and impact things as much as it does now.
I actually like I don't know. I remember not liking Raiden, but like I actually replayed that game a couple years ago and ended up really liking him. And
It's just not what you were expecting. Like, why would
Right,
they do
right.
that?
Right. You wanted more of Master Chief, or you wanted more of Solid Snake. You didn't
Right.
want this other dude
Who is
came
this
out of
guy?
nowhere. Yeah, like I don't care about this guy.
I actually really loved Arbiter at the time. I was like, oh, you get to play as the fucking alien and you get camo? What?
Me too. For the record, I love that too. Like, I thought that was so clever and interesting as well. But yeah, like sometimes community can be a little toxic.
The video game community toxic? You don't
I
say.
know. Freaking Halo 2, man. Holy crap.
Halo 2 had some real
Halo 2 did
toxicity
some stuff.
online. I remember that too. Like, I learned some new words in Halo 2.
Yeah.
Burnout 3, arguably the best Burnout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Silent Hill 4, The Room, pretty good.
Fable.
Fable. I remember getting that game for my birthday and playing the living crap out of it.
There were a lot of promises for that game that it didn't live up to, but it was still really good.
It was still really that Peter Molyneux's whole life promised the world, deliver a
Yeah.
great game that's still disappointing.
Yep. Let's see here.
Star Wars Battlefront.
KOTOR
Jam.
2. Did we miss KOTOR 1?
No, we said
KOTOR
KOTOR.
was.
Said
Did we
KOTOR.
say KOTOR?
I said KOTOR at least.
Okay.
Oh.
KOTOR was big though. Like that was a huge.
Yes.
Once again, another one of those. Oh, Western RPGs can work on a console.
Yep.
It was a neat thing.
I don't know about you guys, but I rented Def Jam Fight for New York like 6 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what a call.
Spent
Yes.
a lot of time on that game.
Had a lot of friends who were into that game, and we would play it on Friday or Saturday night.
Nice. Yes. Mortal Kombat Deception was my first big Mortal Kombat.
I actually have
Oh,
the
really?
collector's
Yeah.
edition of that game.
Nice.
That's a good game.
Yeah.
And then right under that is Tony Hawk's Underground 2,
Oh, nice.
which is like one of the most loved Tony Hawk games outside of the originals.
It's a great game. It really
Yep.
is. That's a really good one. You have
Little game called Call of Duty: Finest Hour came out
Oh,
on
interesting.
November 16, 2004.
Those,
Definitely,
those always felt like weird to me as like this.
definitely.
You had the first one which was on the PC that was like,
Mm-hmm.
and these which always felt like like what is this?
Yep.
Yep.
Halo was still doing its thing to like bring like look at all these games we're mentioning. Not a lot of first-person shooters, really.
No.
Halo was still kind of like
Yeah.
converting a lot of us into that. And so you're right. Call of Duty, when it shows up, like looks and feels like a PC thing. Looks super optional, like it's there, but most people would skip over it.
Like I played
And-
the original on PC because that was like around this time is when I discovered internet reviews, and like all the internet reviews were like go play the one on the PC. These consoles spin-offs, they're fine, but they're not what you're looking for.
when I started, it was the internet for whatever reason, because I was always reading like PC Gamer and magazines for years and years. But when it became on the internet, I'm like, oh, I could write that. And I tried writing my own review back in those days, and I'm like, it was terrible. I don't even know where to start. Like, what am I supposed to start?
I know where you
Right.
can find mine on the internet, and I am
Oh,
never
no
going to
way.
direct it to any of
No
you.
Yes,
way,
exactly.
I
About-
meant like I pulled up like Word or Notepad or something. I just tried to like, what am I getting? Like, this game is awesome. Like, I don't know, probably like the graphics are great.
And
like,
ask what not why. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. So, yeah, no, the like I remember writing reviews on like GameSpot and Red versus Blue's blog format, and they were god awful, but they got me started on this career, so
Yep.
I guess and then
You had to start somewhere.
yeah, and then like Aaron, our old website, we can still find those. They're still there.
Technically, you still can. You're right.
Yeah, they're still there. You can.
They're
read-
lost to the ether as far as I'm concerned. But
You
put in
know,
the right combination of letters in the URL, you might find it.
yeah, no, I'm not going to pull those up because they were awful.
What a time. Anyway,
Yeah. So anyway, we have 04 also had Silent Hill 4: The Room, X-Men Legends. And the thing that we have to point out is I know a lot of these are multi-plats, but you have to remember the original Xbox was by far the best way to play a lot of these games.
right.
They looked better, they ran better, you had the hard drive, you didn't have to worry about filling up your memory because of the hard drive.
When Need for Speed Underground 2 came out also in 2004 and you saw those wet roads,
Yeah.
you wanted to see those wet roads on
Yeah.
Xbox.
Guilty Gear and SVC for me and Jesse as the fighting game people here.
Mm-hmm.
Those were quality releases. Try and get you in the crowd.
you guys are all about that.
probably the
I'm
first-
all about Ultra Busta Move. Give me some of that.
Hey, Aaron.
It was probably my first anime game.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Outlaw Golf 2.
I going through this list, I now realize there are way more outlaw golf games and like outlaw volleyball. Like what?
Yeah.
These
that's a thing.
wow, I only knew of outlaw golf. I didn't realize this was like a franchise for a hot minute.
Um, yeah. So
Of the time.
speaking of games, games I put a lot of time in Mech Assault. This is it was. Oh my god, it was 04 by like 2
Yeah,
weeks.
man.
Mech Assault 2 Lone Wolf.
All right.
Such a good Xbox Live game, and it had Papa Roach in it.
Of
course it
my God, yeah, exactly. That's
Of
what I was
course
gonna
it
say.
did.
And there's a sign of the times.
I just loved how like from when Xbox Live launched to like mid 360, they had Game with Fame, and they would like get celebrities to come into video games to voice act or just like play multiplayer sessions with the crowd. Just it was sign of the times, man.
Yep.
Speaking of sign of the times, American Chopper, CSI Crime Scene Investigation,
Holy
Cabela's
hell.
Big Game Hunter. Like, yeah, you just
Man,
this is a
yeah.
time capsule here, dude.
Yup.
Man,
So we're
so good.
we're getting through 05 here, which is right before the launch of the 360. But in 05, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, arguably still the
Yes.
best Splinter Cell. Doom 3.
Dude, Lego Star Wars the video game.
Yep.
Yep.
There's a good one.
Yeah.
The start of something absolutely amazing. Holy cow.
Oh, dude.
Original Psychonauts.
This 2 week period or this like 3 week period in this April.
April.
Jade Empire, Psychonauts, Unreal Championship 2, and Midnight Club
Yes.
3. All in the 2 to 3 week period.
Well, not to mention Doom 3 earlier that month.
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
my god.
4 up, and then we have our first Forza in May.
Oh,
Hell
here we
yeah.
go.
Oh, I was there for Forza, definitely.
I love.
I was speaking of racing games, man, the whole time. PC, I was playing Need for Speed, Project Gotham, my day one for Xbox, and then Forza was just like, finally, because Gran Turismo to me was like way too much. Like they had that whatever marathon race that I had always heard about, and I didn't want to do. Like Forza was just like that's what, and I had an Xbox, so I had to be there for it.
I remember Forza coming out, and I always liked Gran Turismo, so I was like, I'm gonna check this out, and I loved it. And it was for one specific feature, the fact that it had custom soundtracks. So I could load my CDs onto the Xbox and it would use my own music while I played. And
Your memory for that is unreal, man. I'm just gonna pull out this one feature of a game that came out like 16 years ago or whatever.
It was like
Unbelievable.
Any game that had that feature, I was super stoked for.
That's awesome.
Which is why when the 360 came out, and it was you can hook your MP3 player to it and have custom soundtracks in any game.
On anything, yeah, that was a big deal.
I remember like the launch of the 360. This is jumping ahead a bit. Launch of 360, hooking my Creative Zen Nano MP3 player to the 360, and Quinn and I playing through all of Perfect Dark, not listening to any of the game's actual music. So
Nice. Oh, Mercenaries.
that was a good game.
Not a lot of people played that one, but yeah.
Conquer Live and Reloaded.
Holy crap.
One of the most underrated Xbox Live games ever.
Played a lot of that game. Should not have as a kid, but I played a lot of that game.
Right, yeah.
Dude, that Squirrels versus Teddy's D-Day map, like
Yes.
one of the best multiplayer games ever made.
Jesus Christ.
Burnout Revenge, of course, quality.
Yeah, look at through a
Halo,
bunch of these.
Halo 2 multiplayer map pack.
Yeah, for those of you kids who did not have Xbox Live but wanted all the maps.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
That was a neat product of the time. Yeah, so
Area 51.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, there it is, November 2005.
There it is.
That was a big deal for me.
hell yes, it was.
Pandemic Studios and LucasArts.
I want to point out Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Revenge of the Sith had an alternate ending where you could play as Anakin and win, and then you kill the Emperor, and then you become the Emperor of the galaxy, and it's fantastic.
I remember that game having a really cool multiplayer.
Yeah, that was all right. Yeah. They did not have to do that for that game, and they just went and did it anyway. It was nice.
November 17th, 2005, Half-Life 2.
That was a big deal.
Man.
Was that day and date with PC?
No, it was a year later.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because I remember Half-Life 2 came out a week, like either the week before or the week after World of Warcraft, and that was in 04. So
What a juggernaut that whole series came to be. Just
yeah.
quiet little old Gordon Freeman, just swinging his crowbar around.
Yep.
Biggest damn game on the planet. Holy crap.
Giving me motion sickness in VR currently.
Yeah.
Shout out to 50 Cent Bulletproof, November 17th.
Oh
right
my
in there in the
God.
holiday season, man.
I'll be the
That's
lead up to
amazing.
Blood on the Sand.
Oh, wow.
Totally
Sid Meier's
fair.
Pirates.
Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge.
Funny to see this is starting to blend into 360 days with Peter Jackson's King
Yep.
Kong. I didn't realize was on the original Xbox.
Yep.
Here was a good 3 weeks, or this was like all on the same day in September. Kingdom Under Fire Heroes, Ninja Gaiden Black, Indigo Prophecy, and Tiger Woods, and X-Men Legends 2. That was a pretty good day.
Yeah. Wow.
Blitz the League. Had a lot of fun with that one.
Oh, boy.
And
It's quite a different one.
Star Wars Battlefront 2, like Sean said. Half-Life 2, and then we're into 360 land. Ultimate Spider-Man was a gem. I loved Ultimate
Yes.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it was a really good game.
Did that cell shading really well for the time.
Sure.
All right, and I guess let's start talking 360, right?
All right. I guess we're in it now.
Yeah, let's. So, same as last time. Yo, who was there at launch? 360. What's up? Who was on the 360 train early?
I had
Not me.
to scrape money together for that one. I had to convince one of my brother's friends to buy my original Xbox, all 4 controllers, all my games, and I remember this so specifically for $200. You guys, it couldn't even it barely put a dent in the 360. I was like, I still gotta come up with hundreds of dollars to get this 360 in games and controllers. What was I? it was all gone, and that was one of like you just have that sinking feeling in your gut, like what have I done, like instantly, and it's only gotten worse as time has gone on.
So,
Oh man.
oh, that's awful. That's the worst.
Terrible decision.
So I didn't have to sell anything to get mine, but I had to work very hard. So I told my dad about the system, and he's like, okay, well, I'm not going to give you money for this nonsense. If you want to make more than the like $5 a week you're getting in allowance, I will loan you the lawnmower and a tank of gas, and you can go harass all our neighbors.
Good for you.
And so I just went around, knocked on doors. Yo, do you want your back and front lawn mowed for $10? I'll come by every week. And just all summer long, just every single house within like half a mile carting this heavy lawnmower around, being like, yo,
For you, dude, I got no kids knocking on my doors for $10 lawn mowing. Like, what the heck?
Some
I'd do that
lawns,
in an instant.
some lawns I would charge more though. Like if I was walking up to your place, I saw like just a massive thing. I'm like, I'm charging this dude 20.
It's not massive. It's a patch of grass.
Or like, yeah, like, dude, like my yard is massive. Like if I saw my lot, I'd be like,
Yeah.
yo, I want $50. Like,
Jesus.
dude, it's so huge.
You have a hard bargain, but yes.
Like, and I would honestly pay $50 for someone to handle my shit.
I mean, sure now, but like 2005.
Even then, maybe.
$1,000,000.
Even then.
Because I pay like 120 to have them like take care of everything out here for a month. So, you know,
Dude, but the 360 was HD, so that was a massive deal. And I was selling TVs at Canadian Best Buy back in those days, so I was all in HD, DVD versus Blu-ray. I was into all that stuff. But the thing, oddly enough, the thing that sold me on 360, I saw it at a friend's house, and he turned it on with a wireless controller, and I was in like swimwear. Man, I was totally into that. Like we'd been wired the whole time, and 4 controllers at a time. Like this thing is battery powered. You turn on the console from like I'm at the laziest point in my entire life. I'm like just getting into college, I think, at this time, and just like I don't want to move. I'll sit on my ass and fire up some Call of Duty or NHL or whatever the heck. That was Fight Night. Well, I mean, we'll get into the games, but it was the wireless controllers, oddly enough, for me.
For me, I heard a new Perfect Dark was coming, and
that could have fooled you.
And a new Project Gotham was coming, and I was just like, bro, sign me the fuck up.
Yeah,
right.
And when I got the money to pre-order it and pay and get some games with it, they weren't selling. GameStop wasn't taking pre-orders for anything but bundles. So I just had to suck it up and pay the extra money for a bundle and get 2 games I didn't care about. So what I got the Premium 360, I believe it was called, that came with the one with the hard drive and the wireless controller. And then it came with a media remote, Project Gotham, Perfect Dark, Call of Duty 2, Cameo, and Madden. And
what a bundle.
And that held me over for quite some time. And to be fair, I ended up really enjoying all of those games. Even Perfect Dark's multiplayer I had fun with. The highlight to this day, though, is Cameo. I actually think that game's an underrated gem.
We ended up getting ours for Dead or Alive 4. Because that was close to launch, I think. So we got Dead or Alive December. 4 and Condemned.
Holy crap! What a terrifying game! Yes,
yeah,
that one, it holds up, I think, pretty well too.
Yeah, it does.
That was a game that I rented and loved dearly. I absolutely loved Condemned. I absolutely really loved like just talking that first launch window, the first 2 months. If we're going to 05,
Geometry Wars.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, transformational.
Geometry Wars. I spent a lot of time with
God,
Wars.
I have that installed on my Series X. Like I have like that's how much I enjoy that game. Is I have it installed on the X and the S out in the living room. Like,
to me, like next gen felt like or looked like Fight Night Round 3 was like, holy crap! These graphics are just melting my eyeballs from my face. Fight Night Round 3 was, and I saw like they had come out with the other Fight Night games on Xbox, and it just didn't really hit me at all. Pardon the pun, but yeah, Fight Night Round 3, that was the one. And like twin stick stuff started to happen with the sports games. You started to have skill sticks and NHL. Like things really started to ramp up. They started to understand how to use the controller in all of these games.
Visually, the first game that popped off for me was PGR3, but the game where I like fully understood what next gen was, and I call this game my Stockholm game, because for me this came out and there wasn't really anything else I cared about on 360 until fall, was Oblivion. I booted up Oblivion. You do the sewer level and it's fine, it's fun, but then you get out and you see that big open world and those hills, and like at the time it's like the peak of graphics, and you realize I can go anywhere on this map, and you're like, whoa, bro, dude. And then I got lost in the woods for like 3 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God.
Oh lordy.
Good times on the Xbox 360.
I mean, right from the get-go in 06, that thing was filled with bangers, dude.
Yep.
Shout out to Fear.
Fear. I played it on PC the year earlier, but yes, that was a good game.
Now shooters are starting to come in here, man. Big time.
You have Dead Rising was that first year. You have Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, that was first year. Cloning Clyde, for you guys who were on Xbox Live. That was a pretty good game.
Are you 2005 or 2006?
So I'm in 06.
Okay.
Yeah, Gears of War.
Gears, yes.
Yep. That would be the game that got me.
The fourth Splinter Cell, it's Double Agent. Double Agent, that was what it was called.
Okay. I remember grabbing Gears of War off the shelf at a store, going like, I think I heard this might be good. Like, that was probably the last time that I didn't know about an absolute juggernaut and just thought I would try it out. Like, that doesn't happen anymore. You know about games. We know about games well before they're out. Now it was like, I'll try this out. It looks cool based on the box is how I came across Gears of War.
I remember Quinn, who people in our community will know from our Discord, and on being on the Halo show we did. So Quinn was really excited for it because he was a big Unreal Tournament fan, and like I didn't really care for cover-based shooters at the time. Like I was just like, this looks like Ghost Recon with aliens. Like this looks like it's gonna be horrible. But then it comes out and the reviews for it are just so overwhelmingly positive. Like they're so like, I was like, fine, I'll pick it up. So
and that Lancer, dude, the gun. When was the last time you picked up a game because like one of the guns which like blew your mind?
Guns just look cool.
So cool.
And it just felt right. Like when you got a headshot, that pop noise.
Yep.
Pop. Just
they got
so
that
good.
just right.
Environment was great. They like the ground was literally like you got like holes in it. You throw a grenade. Like that made sense. Like you started getting physics in a way that like felt next gen as well.
Like and just visually, like I remember like
of course.
I knew people in my family who weren't into video games would like see me playing it and be like, "What is that?"
Right.
You know, like so I had that moment a lot. Like
very cinematic, like Metal Gear was when you first played that on PlayStation. Like it seemed like a movie. And Xbox, even now, doesn't really have a whole heck of a lot of that. Like that looked like it was adapted from a movie.
Yeah, like Gears of
War.
Like
Gears of War still is like taking that approach.
Like
totally.
Gears 5, like I remember when Aaron and I did Gears 5 co-op on stream, we were talking about, we're just like, this feels like a PlayStation game. Like one of those, like, you know,
right.
Sony is known for kind of a specific style of video game these days.
Yeah.
And like sitting there playing, I'm like, this reminds me of like God of War and Spider-Man and these other types of games that have this style, you know.
Yep.
So
such a good time.
Yeah, so I definitely think that so yeah, 06 Viva Pinata.
Good old Viva Pinata.
I appreciated that later.
To this day,
Right.
I stand for that
Not
game
that time.
so hard, especially if you have a Series X and can get it upscaled to 4K, dude. Oh, It's so gorgeous and such a fun game. Um,
Yeah, those graphics probably hold up real well.
they
given
do. Um,
It's nice and bright and colorful.
And then Braves B in the chat. 360 was my entry point into Xbox. A friend of mine showed me Forza Motorsport 2 and Halo 3, and I was in like Flynn.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about those when we get to 07, which any 06 games people want to bring up that they were standouts. I know Aaron, Dead Rising is what you got you to buy an Xbox, right?
It was Dead Rising and Gears of War together.
Yeah.
That is what did it for me. And yeah, it was quite. I enjoyed both very much, but I definitely played more Gears of War. It looked good, it felt good, the characters were entertaining. I loved the maps. That was one of the first times I was like taking time. I did not play a lot of multiplayer shooters. You have to understand from before this point. It was like Halo, but then Gears of War was where I started memorizing maps.
Yeah.
And like just like the river map for me was a real good like kind of lockout-ish kind of map that I loved it.
I mean, they still use it in Gears games now, dude. Like that.
Right. It's so good. And then yeah, Fight Night Round 3 is what got me interested. I also remember seeing Call of Duty 2 on there.
Thank you. Yes.
And yeah, that was just nice proof of concepts. I watched some ping pong, some Rockstar ping pong.
Nice.
On it. And that was
You could see all the dots on the ball, man.
You sure could. You were never gonna get me to buy that game, but hey, it looked cool.
Same.
Hey, I rented it at Blockbuster a couple times. It was all right.
Right. I'm looking at this list for 05. I actually played this on the original Xbox, but Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, some open world Tony Hawk, was all I want in life. And then Skate came around later, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, no. So I feel like the 360 is when Xbox for most people really arrived. Like,
Yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying yes. Also, November 22nd, 2005, Amped 3, which is by far the best Amped. I don't know if you
They
guys
also
ever
say
seen-
maybe
you
the
ever
best
seen-
name of the console. Sorry for interrupting. Like the 360, like people called it the 360. Like you almost didn't hear people say like Xbox at all. Like that one really took off for people. And I don't think they've had a better name since then.
Not only
haven't.
that, but like the whole point of that was just so it wouldn't be compared to PS3 and
Right.
the
Xbox 2.
Yeah, like and I love their marketing excuse though is like, well, you're at the center of 360 degrees of entertainment.
Sure.
Oh,
Sure.
Kind of didn't. I mean,
yes.
they kind of looped it in with the logo itself, like a circle. Like that's part of the launch of it. Like even the splash screen at the start would blind your eyes. Like it was so clear, crystal clear in high definition. That just always impressed me. My component cables. Oh my gosh, man.
oh God. I remember. I also remember the marketing. Like it was what's the word, concave, and like it's an inhale.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
Oh, the shape of. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Look at your shirt, Bronson. Like they came with the X in the original, but they've been holding on to that circular 360 degrees ever since.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
You don't see a 1 on there.
That's true. You don't see a one or a giant box that looks like it's out of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
But
You could kill someone with an original Xbox.
you
Probably been
sure
done.
could.
Well, I mean, just they're
Or
lying.
Duke controller.
What
Right, yeah.
you have to do is they have to be lying down and then you just put it on their chest.
Just never get up. It's like Thor's hammer.
Oh my god. And only The Rock can pick it up.
Exactly.
Man.
Nobody cares what you think, Bill. I love how The Rock has been like just so connected to Xbox.
Interestingly.
Yeah, to Xbox.
Like, sure. I mean, he comes in. It was really funny when they were celebrating 20 years of Xbox, and like you could tell the way that deal went down was, oh yeah, I'll talk about Xbox if you let me talk about my movie with Ryan Reynolds. And they're like, sure. We're at the mercy of The Rock.
That movie was okay.
I haven't seen it. Is that all right?
It's on Netflix. It's a fun time. It's kind of a just turn your brain off fun movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
you know.
I do want to take a second to gush about Call of Duty 3 though.
Please.
Sure.
That game is between that and Fight Night Round 3, because in Fight Night Round 3 you can see like sweat and blood, right?
Yep.
But as far as mechanics go, in Call of Duty 3, it's the first game where you can pick up a grenade that's thrown at you and throw it back. And
Yeah.
that just blew my
I thought that
mind.
was
I
in
was
Call
like,
of Duty.
oh my god.
I thought that was in Call of Duty 2.
Is it?
3 is where that started.
Oh, okay. Oh. That's neat. They finally added that to Halo with the repulsor.
And I mean, achievements, guys.
Oh, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Start of an
Bro.
industry stand-up.
Achievements. Oh my. Yes, like the whole. This is a high score. You're chasing a high score. You want to have your mark on the games. Getting 1,000 gamer score. The
Oh my god.
Peter Jackson's King Kong had the like 100 points at a time, and how early games was just like beat level 1, beat level 2, beat level 3, and then people started figuring out that there's a meta to this. Like the growth and evolving of achievements over the years. It starts with the 360, man.
The 360 is in my opinion the console that is the first what we consider a modern console.
Yeah.
Like the always online, the achievements, the party
Yep.
chat,
Yep.
the like one digital game library. all
HD
that's-
graphics, wireless
H-
controllers.
Yeah, all of that was started with the 360. And it it really showed. It's a shame that it was marred by some lights.
My
Oh,
favorite
yeah.
little red lights.
So how many
Isn't that-
360s did y'all go through?
I only had one red ring of death, but I bought many others as time went on because they got better. Like I like the slims. I like to upgrading it. This is where things kind of changed for me in terms of like I was starting to work a little bit more. I was becoming a bit of an adult. So yeah, I would sell my old white one for a nice slim black one with the button that you would accidentally turn on, or your dog would,
Yep.
or it accidentally eject the thing. Like the models they had for this. Speaking of modern consoles, like you had so many different versions of the
Well,
Xbox 360.
Because they were also like trying to fix the red rings because they needed to shrink
Right.
the motherboard and get a cooler and whatnot.
Yep.
I'm only going to count my broken ones and not my bought to upgrade
Oh
ones.
God.
Okay.
I had 5 broken Xboxes.
Nice.
Okay.
Just
People-
incredible.
People always ask me why I moved to PS3 as my primary in like 2010, 2009. And it wasn't because I didn't like the 360. I loved the 360. I was just mad at it for not having it available
What
to
else are you
me.
supposed to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I was just one
You
of those,
and probably millions of other people did the exact same thing.
yeah, like people talk about, oh, they sold the same amount. I'm just like, I guarantee you that if that thing did not have that massive problem, a lot of people would have never gone to PS3.
Agreed.
Sure.
Because you just look at the timing of it as well. As time goes on, more 360s are failing, and then the PS3 gets all their game. Like they start really hitting it, and they became cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, that thing came out, it was just so expensive, just absolutely ridiculous and gigantic. Like I have the same issue with the PS5, just way too big.
And well, yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not. You can see the PS5 behind me.
From space. You
Yeah,
can see it from space.
you know, like it. Half of it looks like the Xbox and Switch it's sitting next to.
The biggest console that ever existed, my God. But
Dude.
yeah, and so everybody was having a pretty dissatisfying experience with 360, just as PS3 is getting Uncharted off the ground and all these other things, and it's becoming cheaper like that. It's such an interesting generation to unpack and unravel, like with those two kind of competing, because PlayStation definitely didn't have that in the prior generation. They didn't have a real
No, they just came out
aggressive and
just
capable.
dominated so hard. Versus this time, like they had to really fight for it on their side, and like I remember the PS3 launching at $600, launching a year late, only having one game I really cared about at launch, and like only a handful in the first year. So I was very much in the camp of, and then I didn't really care about Blu-ray, so I was just like, My
Because
360.
HD DVD was better, right? You had the little add-on for the
No,
360. 'cause
no, I
definitely
did not.
I definitely did. I was team red, man. Let's
I
go.
was team. I'm gonna see how this shakes out.
Well, I
There you
didn't.
go.
Blu-rays, you needed to upgrade the firmware to even watch some movies. Like, I just don't understand how that won. Like, what the heck?
It's because it's the same reason. Like it's because every single PS3 had a Blu-ray player built in.
I guess.
I think that if you didn't have to buy an add-on for the 360 and it just had it, we would have been having a very different
Maybe.
conversation.
Yeah.
But like, and then the firmware update thing was never a problem on the PlayStation, so most people didn't have to
Right.
deal with it. Because almost every single person I know who had a Blu-ray player, it was their PS3.
Right.
So yeah, like
I was the tech support for all the family and friends in the neighborhood. Like, everybody called me up, like, "What's wrong with my thing?" And I was seeing it all the time, man. And also, I was selling Blu-ray players as well. Like, as much as I would want to direct somebody from a Blu-ray player to a PS3, like, these were like, moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas. Like, they had no interest in having a PlayStation and controlling their Blu-rays with a controller. They
Yeah.
wanted a Blu-ray player. So
like even my family members who were like that, I was just like, get a PS3, I'll buy you the media remote. It is going to save me and
Yeah.
you a lot of hassle.
seriously,
Like same thing with my mom. Like my mom, she's on my phone plan, and like I just always get her iPhones because they're way easier to like just deal with, and like if she messes it up, it's way easier to reverse. So I'm
Sure.
just and also because I personally use iPhones, anything she lives across the country, so I personally can access it and go, okay, I can fix your problem remotely. So yeah, like I bought on Bravesby in the chat. I was the first 360 I bought was secondhand from someone who just sent it for a red ring. It still works today. I bought an Elite after that for the $120 HD. I mean, assuming it's gig HDD.
The HDD drive.
And then a Slim after that because it was a bundle someone sold me for $30, and my
Nice.
LG
Wow.
was starting to fit.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, that's a killer deal. I remember, so I went through those 5 Xboxes, and on the 6th one, I'm finally good. It's finally working and fine, and everything is okay. And but the Slims were getting cheaper and starting to get game bundles, so I sold my current one to a friend and bought a Slim with a 320 gig hard drive and 2 games, and I was just like, okay, this is my Xbox now, even though I'm not using it as much. Yeah, because like even though I moved over to PlayStation and preferred a lot of stuff about PlayStation at the second half of the generation, it was the 360 was still getting Gears 3 and still getting a bunch of really good games. I got I actually even liked Connect. Like I loved Dance Central.
shout out to Connect. No kidding.
Dude, I played so
Project
much.
Natal.
A whole movie based around the Connect
Play
and
Yeah.
Paranormal Activity.
play with Milo,
right.
your new little boyfriend.
There's just a friend who was a boy.
God.
Uh,
Milo.
Either way, that was a really creepy demo.
It sure was.
This was also the generation of music games, rhythm games.
Yes.
Yep.
Guitar Hero 2
Guitar Hero.
was a big time purchase for me, man. I remember my parents ended up getting me a PS2 at this time and Guitar Hero 2. I'm like, I would rather just like take that back and put money towards Guitar Hero 2 on the 360, please. And dude, like that controller, by the way, that Explorer guitar, to
Yep.
this day, after all the other Guitar Heroes, all the rock bands, that is the best guitar out of all of the things, man. Absolutely. I feel like he's gonna pull one out right now. He's like literally he's got that one. Dude, amazing. Absolutely incredible. And the one sticker, I appreciate the discipline on that.
Yep.
The
All the other
restraint.
stickers have peeled and come off, so it's just got the one holdout from launch day.
I have.
So I guess you're with me. Like that is the best. That's
Yes,
the best guitar.
absolutely.
out of all
for
of
me,
them.
it was always the
It's
Guitar
very
Hero
good.
3 guitar.
They
Yeah.
split apart. My problem was that it was convenient because it came in 2 pieces. But if you were accidentally like kind of pulling it apart, like the other like whatever the pinky buttons were, sometimes didn't work. You have to squeeze it together again, and then it would work again. But
I never had that issue. Weird, but like, I'm
like a
still
lot of Guitar Hero.
dude. I was a huge Rock Band kid. Like I loved Rock Band and the idea of Rock Band, the fact that they always had downloadable music. Like I cared so much about Rock Band, and I still do, to the point of one, you can still see the drum set is under that jersey over there, if you can see
Can't
that.
get rid of it.
Yeah, and two, I bought music this year for Rock Band 4.
That's wild.
Like that's not, like I still play it because they've carried over all your music provided you were to jump through the hoops. And I jumped through the hoops because I obviously have some sort of mental sickness.
Yep.
Like so, yeah.
This idea that at some point everything's going to go back to normal and you can have people at your house to play.
God, yeah.
Like actual Rock Band parties were a thing.
They were, dude.
Like
Yeah.
We threw one like every
Hours.
week for all of 09.
And that sensation you would get too, like, you know, people probably haven't played Guitar Hero or those types of games in a long time, but you'd be staring at it for so long, and then you go look at like the wall in the room or
When
something
everything
else.
would be
Everything's moving. It would just totally jack up your vision and everything. I definitely had a preference for the hardware on Guitar Hero, but I think that probably the song selection in Rock Band games were better. But I love the drum set on Guitar Hero. It had like the cymbals on top, which I would really appreciate it. And then we ended up having like a double kick. You get like a Y adapter, and you take a kick pedal from another set, and you could do double kicks. So if you're playing like expert Metallica games, you could get right into it, man. I was all about Guitar Hero and Rock Band in the 360 days.
Yep.
One thing that I really loved about the second Rock Band is the set of instruments. They finally kind of perfected everything. Because I remember the first Rock Band, dude, I went through like 3 drum kick pedals. People just breaking those boys because they were plastic.
Yeah, they snap right in half. Yeah.
And then finally they finally made a metal one for the second one. And I was like, oh, thank Christ.
Remember, you could buy like a $200 Rock Band drum set. Like it was damn near like basically just an electric set of drums.
Yeah, now they're just $200. Like if you try and find one of the good ones with the silent pads.
Oh yeah, we had those added on. Yeah, that was a
yeah.
huge. It was just this popping sound, man. How do we get away from this stuff in our houses?
Yeah, like so, like I have the Rock Band 1 that was loud as hell currently.
Oh, definitely.
Because my one with the good pads broke, and I've been trying to find one, a PS4 one, with the good pads, and it's like I've just have to accept the fact that I'm gonna have to spend $200.
Yeah.
Like it's just a hard truth I'm gonna have to deal with. So
No.
Xbox had a ton of great exclusives in this generation as well, with like BioShock, Mass Effect were two that just jump out at me big time. Like, they weren't available elsewhere.
Those were
Crackdown.
they did end up being timed exclusives on those, but yes.
Yeah, but and third party is really what I'm getting at. Like,
Yeah.
of course, the first party stuff continued on, but like these were good gets for them. BioShock, just like I remember playing the demo. Shout out to demos, man.
Yeah.
Played the BioShock demo, and that was like absolutely terrifying because I was really into it. I think every generation you feel like graphics are never going to get better. It's never going to feel like I'm actually in this world. But BioShock it felt like I was in it, and I was terrified as much as I was enjoying the action of it as well.
GTA 4 timed exclusive DLC.
That was my first GTA game, my first 3D GTA game. I played the 1 and 2, but that was I fell in love with that. I've beat that game probably 2 or 3 times at least.
Then, like, the fact that it, like, became kind of the go-to place for downloadable indie stuff, you know, Splosion Man, Shadow Complex,
yes,
Braid,
Castle
Bastion.
Crashers was in there.
Castle Crasher, yeah, like, Shadow Complex, and then
Dude, Limbo,
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of Limbo, but, like, dude, it was a game that a lot of people really loved.
Braid.
And
Braid, yes, definitely.
and then... Sorry, go ahead. Lost the
Sorry, I'm
thought.
looking through the list here. Yeah, no, I lost it.
Okay. But then you had the fact that, and then for the first 3 to 4 years of them both being on the market, like you had the fact that multiplats just ran better on the 360.
Yep.
Like we all like the Fear port, the Bayonetta port, the Orange Box port were all horribly messed up on PS3.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember like the fact that Call of Duty 4 on PS3 looked and ran the same was like a huge deal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was a big deal. Like, oh my god, they're finally making it so they're almost even. Weird.
But I never
Yeah.
understood, like, and again, I'm surprised I didn't hear more about this. Big difference between PS3 and Xbox 360 was you had to install the games on PlayStation. You had to sit there and you'd wait, even if you'd have the disc, like it wasn't running off the disc. 360 was still like the good old days. You pop in the disc and you would just play it. You might download a patch, but you certainly didn't have to install the game.
Well, most of them. Later in its life, you had to do some installs. Like I want to say that Gears 3 required it. There was
Yeah,
some
you're
games-
right. There was a handful, but it
Yeah.
was like standard practice right from day one. And you're right. It was like the particularly large games that they needed to install on the 360.
Braves B says, "Man, your boy loves a demo. That was so awesome at 360."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great
Mhm.
feature of it. There was also the fact that well, that was because the PS3 just couldn't do it because the Blu-ray disc was so slow. You know, it was so slow and had so much data on it, it just couldn't do it.
It's just one of those things that I couldn't understand that wasn't more halting to people. Because like to me it was terrible. I looked at that and I'm like, I don't want any part of that at all. I'll just keep playing on 360. It was so inconvenient.
I didn't really at first. I thought it was gonna be a big deal, but then I didn't really care.
Obviously not, and that's obviously the way that it went for trillions of people. So
And
Right.
yeah, because now that's just video games.
exactly. Yeah.
Especially because even if you bought I buy all my games digitally when it comes to my Xbox at least, and yeah.
Well, it's like loading times going from like 64 and 64, where there was no loading times, to PlayStation. Like, what the hell is this? Loading? Like, you sit there and you wait, and that didn't stop people from playing on PlayStation compared to 64.
Well, yeah, especially because on PlayStation we're getting some benefits of these games that were just
Totally.
way bigger, or
Games you couldn't play on the 64 big
yeah,
time.
or even if they weren't way bigger. You look at Metal Gear Solid and those cutscenes and all the voice acting and
Cutscenes, music, all of it, man. Yeah, for sure.
CD
Some
quality
of those
music.
games with some of those games with the mini games during the loading screens.
Yeah,
So you weren't just sitting there looking through your magazine or whatever, because you didn't have cell phones back then, right?
yeah, no.
Go look at something.
I wouldn't get my first smartphone until I was in college.
Wow. Yeah.
so-
Yeah.
You know, we didn't touch on Prey, which released in 06.
That's one of Quinn's favorites. I didn't really care for it.
Ray.
I really liked Prey.
Are we still
And then-
doing every year?
No, God no.
Have we stopped doing that? Okay.
If
all
you
right.
want to
Yeah,
pick
that's
your
a good
favorite
call.
from every year and you remember what
Yeah.
came out in that year, I'm more than willing to do that.
I will very lazily scroll through. I remember Prey was a big demo for me. I did not get any. I did not actually get the game, but I remember playing the demo a few times because this is just weird. This alien is stabbing this old man to death. What the hell?
I remember in 2007, yes, it was '07, I finally got Gamefly, and that's when I was just churning through 360 games. And that's also the year I really associate with the 360 being crazy good because, being crazy good because that's the year Forza 2, The Darkness, Halo 3.
The Darkness, yes.
The darkness. I
Yeah.
loved the darkness.
Orange Box, Mass Effect, PGR4.
Orange Box confused games media big time because it was so great. Seemed like it should be like a game of the year kind of thing. And they're like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, there's just everything here is like the best value. They had to create categories to celebrate what the heck that thing was. It's unheard of.
Because it's not one game.
Right.
That would be hard even now. Because, if that were, because the way we used to do Game of the Year when I was at an outlet is games like that would be one game. Okay, pick a game from it then if you want something from it.
Which was Portal for the most part, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel it was definitely Portal. I think that some people like Team Fortress 2 a lot. I definitely did. I got all the achievements for TF2 in that on the 360.
So good.
'07, I mean, Halo 3 was I'd never seen a marketing campaign like that before.
Mm-hmm.
That was the game. Oh, Brother Nero FGC 360 won in terms of fighting games because many of the games ran better on 360. The last year, Ultra Street Fighter 4 was at EVO. They were going to run the PS4 version and then switch that to 360 because the PS4 version was broken. That was and that got a lot of people to buy 360 fight sticks.
Yep,
Like,
I got
wow.
one for Street Fighter. Yep.
Street Fighter.
yeah, like Street Fighter 4, like because the online was better, and because the fact that they made fight sticks, so you didn't have to use the 360's terrible D-pad for fighting games. I should
One
say.
of the worst of all time. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It is a terrible D-pad.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to use that. People were playing those games on 360, and like it was the Evo console. Like it was very different.
What a system, man. Fallout 3 became a thing. Fallout 1 and 2, very, very different games. Fallout 3 just like coming out there. Like you guys mentioned too, like this notion of where Bethesda is, this Western RPG just became a staple. And it, to me, it kind of starts with Oblivion and then Fallout 3, just massive. And New Vegas out there afterwards as well became very quickly what we just came to expect. Like so different from what we had before, and then became the standard. We're like, we wouldn't go back, man.
Right, and then Mass Effect was in there, and then Fable 2 was another Western RPG that was big.
Yeah. Oh, Mass Effect was so great. And Dragon Age Origins
Yep.
on there as well.
Yep.
Very PC, and actually the PC game quite different as it turns out.
Yeah,
But
it
to
was,
play
the
Dragon Age
PC
Origins-
version was significantly better. I remember doing Game of the Year that year and being like, definitely do the PC version. But
Alright.
the 360 version was still really good though. Like
It's the only way you could have played that on a 360. I don't know. Like at least at that time, they had to make those changes.
it was like it's just a matter of though like the other release was still stronger. It's just you literally couldn't do it the other way on the console.
Yeah. That solidified, like BioWare, and I came to those games a little bit later, but BioWare is just like one of my all-time favorite developers because of this era, big time. But then you had like sort of like these other weird games like Brutal Legend coming in there.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that game knew what it wanted to be. It kind of
that game was
changed
so
direction.
awesome.
But it was so great. Speaking of marketing efforts as well, like you got Jack Black and, even the beginning of the game, he's wandering through a record store and holy crap, that game is special, man.
That game is great. But yeah, that was also a weird one where people didn't know what to do with it at the time.
Right. And now we're playing real-time strategy.
Now we're doing real-time strategy and you're hovering over everything and this is what you wanted.
They did a great job with the demo and that they didn't show any of the RTS elements. It was
That's
so
the
fun.
thing.
It was all hack and slash.
It was basically going back to our Metal Gear Solid 2 conversation of like, we're bringing you, this is the thing you want, so here you go. And then, all right.
Halo Wars 2. I mean, you want to talk about RTS? Yeah.
Halo Wars 2 was on 360. I definitely think of that as an Xbox One.
Oh, sorry,
for
Halo
some
Wars,
reason.
not Halo Wars 2. Jesus.
Halo Wars.
The original one.
So used to talking
Dead
about
Space,
Halo Wars
Super
2.
Special Trilogy in there, at least the first two games.
Man.
Yep.
Again, your boy loves a demo. What was
Yeah.
it called when I can't remember what the term is called when you cut off their arms, but that's what that first level was called. That's what that demo was called.
Skate. Speaking of games made by EA.
That starting a sickness for me that I have yet to
Skate.
Yeah, I can't.
Nice.
I love those games so much, and they finally got it backwards compatible on Xbox console. So I need to go to a game store and get Skate 2, so I can and then this will just become a Skate 2 channel. I'm sorry, everyone. Over after that.
I mean, it's going to be a Destiny channel when Witch Queen comes out. So you're.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
I just want to say just a real quick thing, just to talk about Dead Space, because I think that game is great, but that was also like that game was a real good example of not having to have a HUD for anything.
Yes.
Like here's your life bar on your spine. Go. It's like,
Mhm.
it's so good.
HUDs in general got better. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh no,
No, you're good.
I think you're right. The lack of a HUD that you don't see even these days too often was really done really well with Dead Space.
I think people, started like appreciate like we need to create some more space.
Well, you had more
Let
real
people
estate to
see.
work with the high resolution.
'Cause,
Like just
yeah,
the screen
you-
just looked different.
You're
Yep.
on 16:9, man.
Mm-hmm. Entered into that HD world.
We started getting into like remasters eventually in here, maybe even more in the Xbox One area. But like Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary is so special, and probably even more so with Halo 2. Like the way they redid, I think most notably the like the cutscenes are just ridiculous. I think the studio's called Blur.
Yeah.
And I honestly think they look better than Halo 5 or Halo Infinite stuff.
Right.
I don't know.
no,
I haven't really had them like side by side, but they have like this amazing style to it that is so special even to this day.
So I will say, if you want to talk about things that came out, brought up the Rock Band games earlier. Beatles Rock Band.
Yes.
Oh my God, Aaron! Do you remember that month that game came out? We were going so hard on that.
It was a very good game, and I bought like Beatles. I bought like Paul McCartney's guitar and John Lennon's guitar for that came with that game, and just played a lot of Beatles. Oh, it was so good. Lots of good music, and the art that they did for that, and Paul and Ringo showing up at E3. It's like, all right, yeah, sure.
It was so sick. Oh my God, like just
What a time.
And I was already into the Beatles, but like fully, like all the way Beatlemania in 2009 for me.
Yep.
You know, the only thing I can really say bad about the 360 besides Red Rings is the last third of its life was a little rougher. It kind of turned into Halo 4's Gears, Halo Forza Gears, Dance Central. You know, and they were focusing on Connect and media stuff and things of that nature. Granted, even the media stuff was cool. I mean, we always talk about, like, please bring the Netflix party back.
Man, I cannot believe no one is doing that. Incredible to me, because that was a grand ass time.
Especially now with the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? Still, they have not done it. Like, I cannot imagine Netflix would not be on board with such a thing.
Yeah.
Like, Phil Spencer's out here being like, well, we could create a 1 versus 100
You know, I was just going to say
thing.
1 versus 100.
We may be doing that. We may be doing work on that. And you're like, what on Netflix? Like, just literally just create some rows of seats and have avatars sit down and they can emote and that's it. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think bringing that back, you know, at the time, this seems like currently this seems like nothing, but it was a really big deal to have Twitter and Facebook apps. Like that was a big deal. But yeah, but I remember like the second half of the 360's life, like you don't get as many exclusives. You know, they're really focused on media stuff and Connect.
We transformed everything, and that Power On documentary that they did, that became so clear to me, and it might have been at the time too, but it just was very profound to me. Like going, oh snap! Like the Wii changed the entire direction, like their entire focus of the 360. Very distracting for Xbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing about that is like Microsoft chased the Wii a lot harder. Than Sony did, and I feel that definitely played out in Sony's favor towards the end of that generation. Because I remember at the end of the generation, a lot of people I knew were buying a second console or were moving over for whatever reason, and you know, like, and I was one of them, to be fair. Like, I have been an Xbox fan for most of my life, but like, from 2010-ish to like 2015, there's this gap where I just kind of went over to PlayStation and PC in a big way.
Right.
The Vita was somewhere in there as well. That had a lot to do with it. PS3 was just a great console. Like, let's just be honest. And Podcast Beyond, probably one of the biggest podcasts on the video game podcasts on the planet. So PlayStation centric, like that had a lot to do with where I was at that time. You know, the Vita was a huge part of my transition to PlayStation for a few years.
Yes, I had a Vita, and like the Vita was launching with games that like really appealed to me. Like, I love Final Fantasy X. I got a Final Fantasy X port. I love Persona 4. Same thing.
Yeah, of course.
You know, it had a full on Marvel vs. Capcom port that worked well on it.
Yes.
Like it was, you know, that thing. You know, I love Uncharted. It had an Uncharted on it. Like,
great Uncharted game. Very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
I liked it.
So, you know, and not that there were bad games at the end of the 360's life. You know, Gears 3 was awesome. Dance Central 3 was awesome.
Horde mode was introduced with Gears 2, which again transformed multiplayer. Like, everybody wanted a Horde mode in their multiplayer games.
And then
so good.
But yeah, so like you have these You know, but like it was a lot of sequels and a lot of playing it safe versus PlayStation kind of just put out the Move controller and then says, okay, we're back to making what you came here for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like so like they kind of put out, and then like you have the launch of the Xbox One, the reveal of the Xbox One, which I feel was so damaging to Xbox that it took until now to fully recover.
Yep.
Yeah, we're talking about
I would
this
agree
now.
with
All
that.
right.
So before we move on to Xbox One, what is everyone's favorite 360 game?
Oh, I can't nail down to one, man. Oh my gosh.
Are we talking about like exclusive or just our favorite memory with the Xbox
Let's go
360?
our favorite memory with the 360.
I mean,
The-
look, man, it's gotta go Halo 3. Like,
We
why this
made
channel
this stream.
exists.
We made this podcast in Halo 3.
yeah,
It's amazing.
that's over a decade ago,
Yeah, like
and yet we're still here. We're still talking about Halo. We're still playing it. Like Halo 3, like Halo 2. I know you really like pushed in on that, but like Halo 3 for me was that first introduction to that world, and it just was everything to me at that time. So
it was a big deal. Like like you never saw a marketing campaign like that. And I specifically remember logging in the day it came out, and I have never seen this before, and I have not seen it since, where I had literally everyone on my Xbox Live friends list online, and
Yeah.
literally every single one of them except two people were playing Halo 3.
yeah,
Yeah.
It was in fucking credible. And then the world felt shit.
yeah.
Many years
Downhill
later.
from there.
Uh,
So yeah.
I feel like we could all probably say Halo.
Right, which makes me feel like I should say something else as well, but
Well, that's
oh,
I don't mean to, that's not why I say that. I only say that
Yeah.
for me to jump towards. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to say 3 games: Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, because of course Mass Effect. But I think the thing that I want to point out while I mention it is, you don't see games do this ever. You have your choices, and your save games carry from one game to the next game to the next game, and that almost in and of itself, even if the game wasn't as masterful as it turned out to be, or the series as masterful as it turned out to be, you don't have lesser games doing save games carrying over one to the. So it had that in addition to its, amazing story, amazing graphics at the time. I remember thinking that there's nothing that could possibly look better, and now that's laughable to look back on. The exploration element of it, that my choices seem to matter, like all the things, man. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. It was such a. I want to do that again, and now we have the Legendary Edition, which is great because I kind of want to do that. I played Mass Effect 1 last year, probably do 2 this year.
yeah, I finished 1 last year and got like a halfway through 2. So
And then other things happened,
yeah.
Yep.
other games happened.
If I have to go outside of Halo, I'd say like probably like the Rock Band Fever or Gears.
Yeah, big time.
yeah.
Like I remember Gears 3 coming out, and I was trying to get those Horde mode achievements, and me being up way past my bedtime, having work and college the next day. Like I had to be up at like 7 in the morning, and like it's 2 a.m. I'm half asleep, and we're on level 49 of 50.
Yes.
Just I remember being like half asleep when we finally killed the last boss on wave 50, and be just like, I'm satisfied, but I'm like, okay, I'm going to bed.
Mad.
Sounds about right.
Man.
I think for me, like I'd have to piggyback off that Rock Band comment. There
Yep.
were so many nights after work where we go to a coworker's house and play Rock Band for hours.
Yeah.
And next day finish work, go do it again. Next day finish work, go do it again. But my favorite game is on a console that has a dearth of JRPGs. There's like none. There's a handful. So it's kind of weird to me that my favorite game on the console is a JRPG, but it's Lost Odyssey.
That's
And it doesn't
fucking
do
amazing
anything.
game.
It doesn't do anything. I think that's like particularly new in the genre, except for those dream sequences where you really get into the character's motivations, his experiences as an immortal person, and they're just so heartbreaking and depressing, and just really good insights into the characters.
To me, it feels like a Final Fantasy game that like, well, we don't have the license, but let's make one anyway.
Was this the
Right.
first time Final Fantasy was on
Yes.
Xbox at all?
Yes.
Final Fantasy 13?
Yeah,
Yes.
13.
Or even before that? Was
11, well,
unless
11
you
came out on
count
there.
Final Fantasy
11.
11.
Yep.
Final
Speaking of
Fantasy.
marketing campaigns, Lightning was just everywhere, so that's why I
Yeah.
think of 13.
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, unless you count Final Fantasy 11, then yes, this would be the first
man.
one.
This was the era of Batman games, like superhero games totally
Mhm.
changed over. Man, there's so much that the 360, like
Oh.
we just never look back after Batman Arkham Asylum. Holy crap.
It was such a long time period too for this generation, like and like it's kind of probably one of, if not my favorite console generation.
It might be, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so like you know, okay, so let's get on to the dark times.
The dark times. All right.
You know, I remember the PS4 reveal happens in February, and Xbox is like, May, unveiling the future of entertainment. And that is the second worst media event I've ever watched in my entire life.
Oh.
It was so bad.
And can I be honest with you guys?
Mhm.
I didn't hate it. I feel like I was the only person on the planet who was like, yeah, I want my Kinect to like watch me walk around the room on my Skype calls. I am here for it. I want my fantasy. I was big into fantasy then too. Like I wanted all the things. Like I was like, sign me up, dude. I am so
There was
excited
definitely
for this
a
thing.
there was definitely a minority of people that were like, I don't see what the big problem is. And
Well, and I like that it was different. Is the thing that I was really, because I assumed that there was going to be games, which maybe was wrong for me to do, and I think other people read the tea leaves a little bit better than I did. But I just kind of like, it's an Xbox, there will be games. They're just talking about everything that they're adding on top of it, but I might have been a little wrong about that part.
I
mean,
like,
and then
between
obviously
that
the
and the-
biggest. What's that?
The backwards compatibility comment.
Yes.
Those two
Oh,
things
yeah.
are the reason I didn't end up getting one.
That was it. It was that combined with PlayStation coming out later with Adam Boyd just being like, here's how you can share used games with your friends.
Absolutely perfect.
Like,
Yeah.
like at the
But
time,
I didn't understand. Like I always had my console plugged into the internet anyways, so that like didn't bother me at all.
Sure.
The fact that we have a system for that, the 360, like I had a 360, so I didn't have a problem with, like, personally, I didn't feel attacked. And I often wonder how many people personally felt offended, or if they were feeling offended for other people. And I feel like that's kind of the start of things that we started seeing on social media at that time, was like, but what about the military people? Like, are you in the military? Like, I understand that you might be concerned for these people who aren't going to be able to check in online, but like you yourself, your console has been plugged into the internet nonstop since the original Xbox. Like,
Right.
do you really have a problem with it? And I really, as people listen to this, I want them to think about that back in the day.
so I didn't have as much a
Yeah.
problem as that as I did the used game stuff, because at the time I was in college, and I was
Yeah.
super broke.
I could see that.
Yes.
Okay, like homie,
That was the deal.
let's put it this way: when I got a job that paid me $11 an hour, I was elated.
Right.
Okay, if this tells you anything
Yeah.
about how broke I was. So I was only going to buy one of these boxes at first until maybe tax season. And them coming
Right.
out and having that used game comment.
And
And,
$100 more.
and then like the whole you know, end of the 360 only having Halo, Gears, Fable, Forza kind of
Yeah.
soured me a little bit. Those two things combined and that just god awful presentation had me real mad. Like the internet thing, like, yeah, it's annoying. Like my internet went out during a big windstorm last week, and like, but otherwise I haven't had a real outage in years.
Same. Yeah.
So, and I'm getting even better internet next month. It's looking like. So,
And as it turns out, like whether or not it's checking into the internet or not, like even to this day, you kind of need internet to play these things. Like
unfortunately,
you need to update the thing, you need to update the game, you need to update the software. Like that's just the way that it is. And I just don't know. Like I felt like I didn't understand where people were coming from with a lot of that very loud outrage. They should have been outraged by the price and underpowered. Like I feel like there were I'm not trying to say that they came out like swinging. People had very real reasons to be upset with what the Xbox One was.
It was a slower console, the used game thing, the price tag. I feel like Kinect should have been an option. Like, hey man, like I get why they were trying to standardize it so every dev.
I
could
like
take
that. I like that a lot, actually, that they were
yes.
trying to standardize it.
But like, as Nintendo could tell you, just because you put a standardization in doesn't mean people will use it.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, that was the Wii U gamepad.
Yeah, like
Really? Yeah, very similar.
And I remember covering the launch. Like, this was my first console launch that I was covering as press, and we're doing the lines, and like I'm going to people, interviewing them in line one by one, and like, well, so why'd you choose the PlayStation? Because the PlayStation came out like a day or two earlier, or like a week earlier, and they're like, oh man, Xbox can't play used games, or like Xbox isn't getting Destiny, which it totally was, and I go to our camera guy Anthony, and I'm like, this is going to be a massacre. Like, this is going to be so fucking bad for Microsoft right now.
Yep.
And we go to the next week. First off, the Xbox line is like half as long.
Yeah.
And like, it's mostly guys like us. We're just super in the know, who knew that they went back on those decisions for the most part, and knew that Sunset Overdrive and stuff like that is coming. You know. And I actually think the 360, or not 360, the Xbox One had a stronger launch than the PS4. I think, like, PS4, like, Killzone was fine, Resogun was amazing.
Resogun's great.
Yeah, but, like, you look over at Xbox, like, Killer Instinct was awesome, Dead Rising was really good, Forza was really good, you know, and then, like, I think that springtime, it was Infamous Second Son versus Titanfall. You know, I love both those games equally.
Titanfall's great.
Yeah, first time
Was PlayStation the first to give free games with their service? Was like PS
Yes,
Plus was
yes.
first?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
actually amazing.
Yeah.
They don't PlayStation does almost nothing first. And for them to add that kind of value to their service is just like was bonkers. Xbox had to catch up later with games with gold, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, like the entire beginning of the Xbox One was them doing shit to build goodwill. I think after the first year they realized, okay, we've lost this generation. We need to keep the guys who we have, and we just need to get ready to blow their doors off with the next thing.
There really was, like, if you were in Xbox, you felt very like cared for in a weird kind of way. Like they definitely made that shift. Like, we're not winning anybody else back over, but anybody who bought an Xbox, you're not going to regret it. And anybody who was there with the 360, I think that this is where the motion to where they were going now is like really started to connect, which was they looked at the 360 as such a successful era for them that they go, we need to bring these games over. And that was something that, like, that backwards compatibility move for them was just...
It was huge.
Can't be understated. Even to this day, like, they're just... PlayStation can't compete.
I cannot tell you how many 360 games I just play on my Series X. Like, and it's a great feature because I can also, like, my roommate who skipped most of the Xbox platform, I can be like, here, play this. And you're playing the best version of it because it's getting upscaling and all this other stuff. You know, like it was a big deal at the time. You know, like it was huge in a very big way.
It's like a console.
Yeah, you know, because like that generation started out, no one had it, and like yes, it was only select titles at first, and even is now, but almost all of my 360 games are playable, and about half of my original Xbox games are playable.
Yeah,
and that's a big deal.
Yep. And you started seeing them like almost having these boxing matches on E3 stages or various stages, like in a bigger way, I think, than prior motions. And it all started with that small video you guys mentioned, like, this is how you share games. And like, what is PlayStation or Xbox going to come to the table with next to like really start to win us back? Like, it was a very desperate time, and this is where you get things like Game Pass. Yep. Like Game Pass, like when it started, it wasn't even. You have to remember, it started out as like there's a collection of games, but otherwise not very notable. I think that is sort of like launched, and it again seemed very optional for a lot of people. Like, that's another subscription I'm not really in for. But they didn't just stay there. The real differentiator for Game Pass, and for anybody who was there on day one for Game Pass, was like the fact that you could download the game instead of streaming like you would on PlayStation. And it wasn't until a lot longer that they said the day one thing. Like, Xbox One exclusive games are going to be day and date.
That's what got me. That's what finally got me, is like, oh, so I don't have to pay for Sea of Thieves, and I was really excited to try Sea of Thieves. So I was just like, fuck yes, let's get in. And I loved Sea of Thieves, and I was subbed off and on until like the series, or not the series, the Xbox One X came out,
Yeah.
and we started to get Gears 5, and we started to get Forza 7, I believe it was, and Horizon 3, and all those kind of games around it, and Horizon 4, and I was just like, okay, I see what they're doing. Like they're setting it up for the big win. Like
Yeah.
they're setting it up for the long term, and versus Sony, who, to PS4's credit, they did exactly what the market wanted at the time: a standard game console that has great exclusives and is powerful. They
And
read.
partnerships. I think the exclusives are the obvious thing, but like the partnerships.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Call of Duty went over to PlayStation? Like now this is the home of PlayStation. And at the time, we were looking at like Ghosts, and we're like, well, nobody. I think I remember people even saying nobody cares about Call of Duty anymore. It couldn't be further from the truth. Like that generation for Call of Duty was gigantic, and the partnership with Bungie was, again, it felt more like a spiteful thing. Like there was more to it than just like they're going to be over there and partnering there with marketing deals and
Oh,
things.
the,
It was a backstab. Like Bungie used to be with them, and now they're over here. Like a
and-
lot of that playground fighting happened.
Yeah.
and I know so many people who bought a PS4 because that was getting Destiny for like the Destiny DLC first, and that
Yep.
had the Destiny console, and it was going
That
to be
got
the
me.
Destiny box.
Didn't even know what Destiny was. I didn't even understand this like MMO light, whatever the hell it's supposed to be. Like I didn't understand it at all. I just wanted it. It looked awesome.
I thought it was going to be World of Warcraft meets Halo, and those are my two favorite games ever. So I was just like, oh, so you're making the perfect video game. I see.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
I thought it was more Mass Effect cross Halo. And so in that perspective, I was a little disappointed. But ultimately,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of genres that kind of emerged on console in this generation that I don't think that we really talk about too much either. But battle royales is one, and this sort of like ongoing like games that have huge amount of end game content happened during the Xbox One era, PS4 era.
MMOs, Warframe, DCEU.
Yeah.
It's not on Xbox, but Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah.
Those were all console games. Like it was weird to see MMOs come to a console.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like that was a notable thing. Like it was, and they
Elder Scrolls.
yeah. Like I remember.
Yeah. Right.
I remember the year that I remember Xbox really turning it around was my second E3, where I went to the Microsoft booth and did the press conference, and I saw the Elite controller, and I saw backwards
Yep.
compatibility, and I played Halo 5 multiplayer, and was like, all three of these things are fucking awesome.
Yeah, man.
And Killer Instinct Season 2.
Ooh, Killer Instinct is so good. Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Oh,
Shout out.
dude, I played that game on stream. Like I was prepping to play it at Evo Online, and that got canceled because of scandal, and I was so disappointed. But like streaming that game was super fun. So yeah, you have you had a lot of adversity, and then they slimmed that big ugly Betamax machine down. They cut the price. They ditched the Kinect, backwards compatibility. Release a more powerful console, which to this day the Xbox One X is my favorite looking console.
Yeah.
I think it looks beautiful.
I agree.
And then and then they went out and bought a bunch of studios, and then last year 2020 on the 20th anniversary, in my opinion, it's one of the two best years for Xbox ever. Like so many good initiatives, so many good games. You look at last year, Flight Sim, Gears Tactics, Halo, Forza, Psychonauts, smaller
All Game
games.
Pass.
You
MLB The Show on Xbox.
Right.
Like I mean,
Fucking
we're skipping ahead but for
weird.
sure. So awesome, and that's just it. Like they got scrappy right from the beginning. They're continuing to be scrappy, and I like that. I like that because it feels like the original Xbox.
It does.
Like
Right.
that console shouldn't have existed. They had to steal Windows from the Windows team to even like make this whole thing work. And that's kind of where they're at now. They've just got a couple $1 trillion at their back. So
Right.
it helps
Yeah.
a little.
And the Bethesda purchase, right? Like how
Oh,
huge
man.
is that? How
Incredible.
unbelievably huge is that? The like all these kind of different things where like you go look at Game Pass on, like, I'm on Game Pass on PC right now. Outer Wilds, Battletoads, Ori, Tell Me Why. Like they have
Ori is a game that it's, I think, people's memory, it will only suffer because it was on Xbox One at that time. Like there are games that are on Xbox One that are so great, but it was unfortunate where they were and what the public perception of that platform was at the time, because Ori is one of the, if not one of the best games that came out in that generation, but it's marred because it was on Xbox One. Most people didn't even know, they don't know about it.
Yeah.
And they really should. If it was on a PlayStation or if it was on Nintendo, you'd hear people screaming from the rooftops about that.
Yeah, and it got the Nintendo port and no one cared.
Right.
You know, and it's the same thing with Sunset Overdrive. You got the PC port, no one cared.
Yeah.
What was it?
Arguably Titanfall as well suffered from that as well. Like it was the game that was I mean, a lot of the great exclusives on Xbox One, it wasn't about the game. It was about the system that it was on that really dictated what the narrative was. Titanfall, Quantum Break, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Like the exclusive deal heard around the world that pissed off absolutely everybody, created a separate set of rules that Xbox was allowed to do, that PlayStation was allowed to do. Like that was not cool with people. Tomb Raider was not supposed to be exclusive on Xbox.
To this day, whenever Xbox gets a big exclusive, you get a bunch of people who are just super pissed that are just like, this should also be on PlayStation. I'm just like, okay, then God of War should be on Xbox. No.
Well, I mean, Street Fighter is another example that, like, there's other things that go cross plat to exclusive, and I think that like, why is it okay for Street Fighter but not okay for Tomb Raider? Like, I will never be convinced that these arguments are good to me. I don't like it. Like, if it's just a business deal, it's just a business deal, and that has to be okay.
And they're trying to get you to buy their box, or in the case of Xbox, buy their service. Like it's, and that's the console, the dirty console war secret right now that all the Sony fans don't understand is Microsoft doesn't give a shit if you buy the box anymore. Like, they care enough, like they hope you do, but as long as you get Game Pass and you're playing it via the cloud or playing it via your PC and you're subbed, they're good.
Yeah.
You getting Halo on Steam? Fantastic.
Cool.
That's basically where Xbox has to live now. They can't steal games in terms of exclusivity, but they can make it such a no-brainer. Like, why would you go buy this game for $60 or $70 over there when you get it with Game Pass over here?
Well, I know so many people who are giant Bethesda fans. Like, they're huge.
Oh, yeah.
And they were so upset. But then I told them, you won't have to pay, like, you can, like, what, and then, like, I also told them, you don't even need to buy an Xbox, just play it on your computer. Or, like, play it on your phone if so inclined. Like, it's just, I don't get why people are so mad about these in some cases, unless you only buy and play on PlayStation, which I don't think anyone does anymore. You know, at minimum, they have a computer or a phone as well. Definitely a phone. And I think it's smart for Microsoft to be in these places.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, it's, and I love my Series X. It gets way more use than my PS5 does, in all honesty. I think the interface is better. I think it's snappier. Quick resume is an amazing feature that is
amazing.
Highly underrated.
Yep.
It's this thing that I think that, and as they've bought more studios, I think that, PS5 is outselling it, but not as big as nearly as big as a blowout before. I really do think Xbox could catch it, and it's in such a good place this upcoming year, right? Even with PlayStation having their exclusives finally hitting this year.
In the end, it just doesn't seem like Xbox or Microsoft cares as much. Maybe they do. Maybe there's conversations that happen, but like in the end, it doesn't appear that way. What happens is, regardless of the number of sales and how they compare to each other, is like the experience on Xbox is undeniably awesome.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't even want to get into is it better or worse than the other thing. You just you look at Xbox and you go like, it's pretty good. This is like worth my time and my money and my. They even like changed the metrics. Like they, because to your point, it's getting outsold. It has been getting outsold for the longest time. They go like, well, how long are people playing? Like how long are they on this box? And that actually matters a lot. It sounds like marketing spin, but it matters to the point of you and me and anybody else saying, my PS5 is gathering dust. Like that's the reality of it. Like it's still sold. It's still a metric that counts towards consoles sold. But if you're not playing it, then like, does it really matter? Are you spending time and money on that platform? And they've really done that shift. I think it was smart to do that.
No, I remember the event I went to where they revealed that. It was in 2016. It was their spring showcase, and I'm sitting in Phil Spencer's presentation, and he's like, we're more concerned about MAU, monthly active users," and they went over that, and they went over, and this is before the cross-buy cross-play thing was revealed.
Oh yeah, that was this Gen 2, man.
So every time I went to go talk to someone like, so is this coming to PC too? And their answer was like, oh, maybe, blah, blah, blah. I could tell that, like, from their answers, like, oh, so yes, so you're just not allowed to tell me.
Right.
So that was neat. This is a personal story, and I've told on the podcast before, but I think it'll be a fun story for Sean and the people from his audience that watch this. I have met Phil Spencer once, and I got completely blindsided by the man.
Yeah.
Um,
Phil Spencer's funny.
He's super cool, but I'm not sure if you've been to these press events, but like at their table, they have like a bunch of food laid out for lunch, and I'm sitting there like picking up a sandwich, picking up thing, and he just comes up and starts talking to me, and then introduces himself like, "Hi, I'm Phil." And I'm like, I know who you are, man. You just talked in front of everyone. Like, what?
Jesus.
I'm glad you're so down to earth. You think you need to introduce yourself. But, okay. And then he starts talking to me about the primary election that just happened in my home state. And I'm just like, what?
He asked me like where you were from.
Yeah.
And you were like, Nevada. He's like, oh, yeah, Trump won there. Like,
yeah, Trump won the primary there, right? And I'm like, yeah, he sure did.
That's not why I'm here, but if that's okay.
I would like to talk to you about that Killer Instinct Season 3 demo behind you.
Seriously.
God damn it.
Yeah, and then like 20 minutes later, because at the time I was working for a website that was very big on interviews, and I would like to get back to doing that eventually. Would actually love to interview you sometime, Sean. But
anytime, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And what ends up happening is like 20 minutes later, I'm like sitting there, like in this like booth thing, with our camera guy and we had someone from the art staff come with us, and I just go, fuck! I just realized I missed an opportunity to interview Phil Spencer. And it's like, God damn it!
When it hits you later, there's nothing quite like it, man.
Yeah.
This era for me was very special in that like this is when the Xbox Drive started for me. Back when Xbox was not a cool console at all. Like nobody really liked it. I remember even starting going like, is this such a good idea? But we were there when Game Pass started, when they announced the day and date stuff with the first party stuff. And we had such great opportunities to see some stuff that we otherwise would never see. Like this is the era of console that like really changed my life in terms of content creation. I got to go to the Coalition and see Gears 5 well before it was out. Got to record gameplay from it and talk to Rod Ferguson and the members of the team. Like that, those are memories I will have for the rest of my life. Like on top of the games, going to E3, being part of FanFest and all that stuff. Like it all happened in these years. So, I mean, it's not necessarily a thing to say to brag, but it's probably mostly just like when I look back on the Xbox One era, it's through the lens of all of that. Like I can't separate all those things I was able to participate in from just the game. So I look back very fondly, of course, on Xbox One, but on top of all that, I just think it's a really interesting time for video games in general, that they can turn the ship. We just listed, I don't know how many moves they made, which is gigantic. The 3 different systems they had, from the 1 to the 1S to the X, and back compat and Game Pass and day and date. Like there's so much. The Elite controllers, there's so much there all squeezed into a single console generation that I have a lot of appreciation for everything about it, regardless of how it started.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and like on the press side of things, because I was basically until 2019, so almost the end of the generation, I was doing reviews and interviews and stuff like that, and you even felt the Microsoft switch in the media side because when it came to PlayStation, it was really hard to get a hold of their
Big time.
PR people, like almost impossible. And they instead of having internal PR, they switched to an outside agency, and just all this stuff. Versus Microsoft, we got review copies constantly
Yeah.
of everything. They had very good communication. It was very easy to set up interviews. It was very easy to set up event coverage, and it was just a huge difference. So
Even the video games in general changed. Podcasts became massive. Like there's just a huge explosion of podcasts, and as well like Twitch streaming became a thing in this generation. So like just the nature of video games, in addition to we got better hardware, like how people played and how communities were created and those types of things were way different than the 360 days. So I don't know. It's just, like those to me, it's just they get lost in the conversation when, like, generally speaking, you think Xbox One, you're like, what a mess. You're like, well, there was a lot that happened in these 7 years, 6 or 8 years, I think.
Yeah,
Seven, 8.
yeah, like and Emily, bringing you into the discussion for the first time in a while. I'm sorry. Was you finally got an Xbox One this year?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, finally.
You get to get caught up on all that rad 360 Xbox One content. So that's cool, like that. I'm actually really excited to hear your experiences with all this stuff you never got to try. Because a lot of it is really neat. So
Yeah.
so I guess let's wrap up. So what was everyone's favorite Xbox game this past year, 2020? Jesus. 2020.
Time is a flat circle.
Some would say a 360.
That's me laughing at your joke. Let me pull up Xbox here.
So like, what was your favorite Xbox game this past year, 2021? And then what are you most excited for going into 2022 on the Series X and S?
Xbox exclusive, because like my favorite memory of going through Xbox this last year is just having Game Pass and being able to pull up whatever games are coming. I've been meaning to check out some more Into the Pit, which I checked out on a stream recently, and that came out on Game Pass, and that's a good time. I see Outer Wilds recently got added, and I hear so many good things about that game. I want to try and jump in again and figure that out. I love that I can just download Forza Horizon 5 and all right, cool, let's just go.
Great game.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here. Age of Empires 4, I can just fire up when I want to. Man, Bronson, I don't know how I feel about It Takes Two yet, but it's been making an impression.
Yes, you and I have been streaming that every Thursday night, and because it won Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Yep.
And like, that game is cool. It's really, other than the scene where it makes you torture a stuffed elephant
for no reason
and
God,
brutally murder her.
It was rough. But
appreciate the heads up on that.
It's bad. It's bad. And yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of great memories. It's been fantastic to see Halo back.
Of course.
Obviously, this was Master Chief Collection really finally started coming into its own, but like this last year was really like, all right, Halo Infinite's coming, and now they're adding a bunch of stuff, and let's just play some Halo here. And it was a grand time going through all the campaigns again, and then Halo Infinite came out, and we can talk about Halo Infinite. That's a podcast all its own. But but I suppose that would be my favorite memory. Just seeing like, oh yeah, Halo's here, it's back, it's doing its thing.
Totally back.
For me, I would say that, like, obviously my favorite Xbox game was a multi-plat, but my game of the year was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Oh, so good. So good.
Well, shout out to, like, we talked about how JRPGs were non-existent on Xbox. Now they're just, it seems to me like mostly a given. There's obviously a few exceptions out there, but Tales of Arise was one of my favorite games of the last year. And it's just like, we would kill for games like that in the original Xbox and 360 days or even one. Now they're just there. And I adore that game. Oh my gosh.
They
so
need to port Persona. I don't know why they haven't yet. In fact, I was actually really mad that I found out Persona Ultimax was not coming to the Xbox. It's coming.
That
to
seems
PC.
like the final nut to crack, doesn't it? Like Persona seems like that's it. I mean, speaking of Final Fantasy, like back as an exclusive over on PlayStation for 16, whenever the heck that's gonna happen.
That feels weird. That
Yep.
also feels weird. Like it's. I mean, I guess the solution is just buy all the boxes, right?
That's what it always is at the end of the day, right? When you want to play video games, you eventually just get all of them.
You just
or you get roommates, and each person, like that's what I did for this last generation. For like I got a PS4, and then my friend got a Wii U, you know, and I was like, all right, let's try to figure out
let's coordinate
how to spread this all out. Yep.
Like I just ended up getting all of them over time, except this generation, because this is the first generation where I had like big boy grown up money when everything came out. So you know, like, and then graphics cards became impossible to get. So
kind of makes the decision easier for you.
yeah, like
Yes, it sure does.
you know, it's like I want to play games at 4K 60 FPS. I could pay $1,500 for a scalped graphics card, or I could just follow Wario 64 and get a console.
Yep.
So, I'd say as for most excited for the coming year, probably Destiny of the Witch Queen, though I'm excited to see what Starfield is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super stoked for Starfield.
I don't know how to feel about Starfield yet, because man, Bethesda, they've been going through a time. Let me tell you, I'm very curious what that game looks like, given everything that's happened.
And then
There's a lot riding on that game. Like
Yes.
it's for Bethesda on its own, but also as like a choice for Xbox to acquire, to make such a big deal about this acquisition. Like it's more than just a game release in a big way. So it has to hit. They've been developing this game for like a decade or something stupid like that. So they kind of have to hit the deadline or the release date, I think. So yeah, I'm glad that you said it the way that you did, because a lot of people are just hyped about it and I don't think they really know why.
Dude, after like, what, God, 12 years podcasting about video games in some capacity, I am tentative of everything. Like, I am super excited for like Destiny 2 The Witch Queen, but I'm also like have like the thought in the back of my mind of like, what if it sucks?
It'd be trash. Yeah.
This could suck.
This is just getting older, you guys. Like when you've been around the block a few times, you get hurt, you get jaded a little bit. You know, anybody who knows Nintendo, we've been there. You get a little.
Oh God.
You get a little.
That's truth.
Yep.
That OLED is totally 4K. It's the Switch Pro. Just kidding.
Lol.
But that's kind of how I am with Dying Light too. I thought Dying Light was such a special game on the Xbox One and PS4. PS4 is actually where I played it. And you know, there's 500 hours worth of gameplay in this thing. Yeah. I will say about this game, when I saw them first reveal it, it looked like one of the most ambitious games I'd ever seen. Like it elevated itself to that level. Just all the things, all the different, like you make this choice and it's going to impact this faction over here or whatever. Like it's going to change the world. I'm super intrigued by that. And on top of the fact that I think they had really great mechanics, and the parkour element is probably the closest thing to a Mirror's Edge that we're gonna get anytime soon. So you can jump around the world here. So I'm really excited, but I don't know. In a game fantasy kind of thing where we're picking games that we think are gonna review quite well. That one I've done 2 of them so far, and I've not picked Dying Light 2, even though I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah. Do you think Fable hits next year?
2024, I could, or 2023. I don't know, man. That's the thing when people talk about like the year of Xbox. Like, I'm looking at, my first thought was Dying Light 2. I think that tells you everything you need to know about kind of where the studios are, unless they've got some sort of weird surprise for us. Yeah. In my mind, like the biggest release that Xbox One studios have, or Xbox studios have first party, is Microsoft Flight Simulator Top Gun Maverick expansion pack.
Cuphead DLC.
I would love that.
Cuphead deals, and again, like not really, it's not the same. Like it's a reach, that's what we have.
Like
Halo co-op and Forge.
whatever expansion they put out to Sea of Thieves.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, maybe some Lego or Hot Wheels or some sort of equivalent to Forza Horizon 5. Like
Perfect
those,
Dark.
that's where we're at because Perfect Dark is forever away. Hellblade is probably forever away. Like
I
all
don't know,
these other like
they finally showed gameplay of Hellblade, so I'm a little more, invested. Like,
I think
it's
we're
gonna happen.
12 to 16 months away from that.
I can see it. I can see. The thing is I think around summer we're gonna get a better idea of what's hitting this year, and like knowing how long certain things have been in development, I could see that new Forza.
I think they need until like by February. I think if I remember of 2021, February, Nintendo and PlayStation both had some sort of direct or state of play or whatever, and they did really well with it. And then Xbox is like, we're here too. And I think that's when they had like the 4-hour indie special thing, and it's like, guys, not quite, or whatever they do. It just didn't seem to match up. And they need to, I think they need to make sure that they keep the Halo community involved because that's got to be one of the biggest things going on in Xbox land right now. But they also, I think, need to tell Game Pass subscribers why they need to stay subscribed February, March, April, May. Like, I don't know what else is coming, and I think they need to.
It was such a
address that.
bummer to see Destiny leave Game Pass on the
Oh,
console.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a big deal because, like, you got Destiny and all the expansions, and like I had to rebuy all of the expansions. Now, granted, I went in during the Black Friday sale, so I only had to spend $30.
Oh, smart.
Yep.
Oh, good one.
But like, it's still just super bummer. So like, they did the Mass Effect trilogy, which that's big, and they did a bunch of indie games. I feel like February needs something, and I don't know.
Right. What I'm saying is I think they need a roadmap rather than every time they have an announcement, people are happy. Like, this is what's coming out now in January. But I do think they need to look out the next couple of months in a row. That's just maybe that's just my opinion though. I like, it just seems like it's been a while since they said, here's what's coming for the next 5-6 months. So I don't think they can wait till E3 to do that.
Yeah, they just have so much momentum and goodwill. Like, they need to keep it going. Like, even if it's something like oh hey, because every E3 they always put out something that's like, it makes me it's closer than you think.
Right.
So yeah,
It's exciting though. Like, I like not knowing what's their Starfield and that's it. And I kind of just am assuming that there's going to be more to holiday this year than that, but because they really did, I think Xbox this year more than ever seemed to me like they dominated the holiday season.
Oh God, yeah.
Sony wasn't there, and Nintendo had Pokemon. I mean, actually, Nintendo was a weird holiday for Nintendo.
Pokemon and Mario Party, going to the casuals.
Yeah, and like Metroid
yeah.
was a month before. It's not like Nintendo had nothing, but certainly PlayStation had let them like with a wide open runway.
I
this
wasn't
holiday season.
Yeah, like they put out Deathloop, and I think it was September, and then just left it. Like
Right.
that was it. Like versus Xbox, you had Halo, you had Forza, and both of those were huge. And I feel like there was something else that I played in there as well. But
Every month had a Game Pass game, I think. So yeah, you have the first party stuff, but every month had a Game Pass game.
yeah,
Basically since like July, and it was just one of those like, this is a ridiculous run that they had.
like
Whether you like Back for Blood or not, or Psychonauts, like definitely.
yeah, like all
July,
of those,
I think, was Microsoft Flight Simulator and Ascent. People were hyped for, but ultimately disappointed by.
and then all of those were games that, like, if you had the service, why wouldn't you try them?
Totally.
Give them a shot. Like that's the like, give them a shot, see if you like them. If not, hey, no big deal.
The Gunk. Give the Gunk a
Gunk.
shot.
The Gunk, great name for a game.
Amazing.
So, I think that congratulations to Xbox for 20 years.
Yep.
Amazing. It's been a great run. There's been some real ups and downs, but overall, I've appreciated the console. Bravo, golf clap.
20 more.
20 more.
Brute Force 2. Let's go.
Yeah.
Crimson Skies 2.
Sure.
To start pulling out original Xbox IPs.
I just want another Jade Empire. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah. Why not?
PGR 5 and Mech Assault 3?
They could get a Mech Assault going.
Oh, dude, that would be
Mech
so
Warrior
hype.
5 is on Game Pass, you guys. Check out
That's
Mech Warrior
right.
5.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do they allow mods through like download on Game Pass? I think they do.
They do for Halo. So I mean, I imagine.
So I hear the way to play MechWarrior 5 is or Mech, whatever it is, Armored Core, whatever it is. Anyway,
Ooh, Armored Core, nice.
Chrome Hounds.
yeah, it was one of those mech games on there. Like it's only good if you're able to mod it, and thankfully, like you can get it through Game Pass and then mod it.
I remember going to
nice.
I remember going to my first PAX and saying Hawken everywhere.
Hawken.
Oh my god.
Hawken.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
2 PAXs in a row of that and Firefall. Every 10 feet.
Firefall. Jesus.
So, all right. Well, normally we do news and what we've been playing, but we'll save that for next week. We've already run a bit long. So, hey, everyone who's listening to this is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon. Do us a solid and go there and watch that, sub, review, follow, whatever each the service says to do. Also,
hit all of our buttons.
Yes, hit all of them. And also, hey, Emily is rocking it with timestamps. So later in the week, this will be up on YouTube with timestamps. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to know about specific parts, good job to Em. Good job. Thank you. And we're on YouTube. We're going to be on YouTube now. So enjoy that. And we got our normal stream on Thursday for co-op stuff.
Yeah.
So, Sean, I want to thank you for coming on, dude.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Yes. You and your wealth of knowledge. I can't wait to have you back again some other time.
Thanks, man. This was the topic I was so excited to jump in and chat about. Obviously, like we literally could have done every year. You know, like there's something notable to talk about, but you guys are a blast to chat with and just love going down, taking a trip down memory lane. Xbox is really special to me since the very beginning. So, and I haven't had a chance to do this on any of the other content that I make. So I appreciate the chance to chat about it with you guys.
Yeah. You know, I always kind of know you as like the Xbox guy, like one of my Xbox guys. So whenever we're doing like Xbox content, I always make sure to tag you out. Always be
makes
sure.
all the amiibo behind me very confusing, but yeah, totally
right.
Yes, I if I turn here, you can see all of my console boxes.
Exactly, like that's just, and I'm like with everybody's. I kind of stopped doing this weird thing where I'm like, you know, I like talking about PlayStation as well, and I almost had to like convince people. I'm like, I had a lot of PS4s. Like I started with PS4. I had all the, like, how many controllers do I need to buy to convince people that I can talk about other things other than Xbox? It's just the way things work out sometimes.
Hey man, well, I mean, you know, whenever we do a PlayStation anniversary, maybe we'll have you on that too.
I've got that secret, like, you know, where's your Vita? You know what I mean? Like, are you a true PlayStation fan? Like, where's your Vita?
Would you like me to go get my launch box from the
That is for
room?
another show.
Exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
God.
Let's not talk about the Vita. We got another 2 hours of podcast ahead of us if we do that.
The thing is, it's all nonsense anyways. People can be fans of like whatever they want to be fans of, and that's the best part because we all start somewhere. That's the one thing that I will say about video games, and I'm kind of doing the same thing with comics right now. You have that entry point where you don't know anything, you don't know anybody, you just know that you like it and it's cool, and that is such a special time. As time goes on, you get to look back on that like, I was just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and I just wanted to experience the thing. Welcome everybody on in, man. It's super cool.
Absolutely. So once again, Sean, thank you for being on. Aaron, Jesse, Emily, and I'll be back next week as always.
Go check out Sean Capri.
Yes, go check out the Xbox Drive and the other Drive podcasts.
Yes.
And we love you. Goodbye.
Love you guys. See ya.